In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism. Speak out against injustice and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is Blood Politics, and we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet, and we ain't gonna be scared, and we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is Blood Politics.
All right, you cheeky little lot. Appreciate you. Welcome back. What's going on, everybody? How you doing? I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. I do appreciate you joining me. You guys ever see that kid on Instagram? You cheeky little lot. What's his name? Remy, or something like that. Tell me you guys know who I'm talking about. Cute little British kid. I can't tell if he's in America or not because I feel like his dad always posts the American flag next to his stuff. So I'm not, it kind of confuses me, but clearly seems to be in Britain half the time. So I don't know. I'm not sure, but how are you cheeky little lot feeling? How's everybody doing? It is Sunday, the 22nd of February, 2026. And we're going to be all over the map because we're going to be calling out nonsense, bullshit all over the place. It doesn't matter where we're talking, inside the United States, outside of the United States. We're going to be discussing it all. So I appreciate you guys for joining. Let me put you back up on the screen there so I can say hi to everybody in their beautiful faces. What's going on there? What's up, Gen Xer? How are you? What's going on, Evie's on? Appreciate you guys over there on Twitch. Please make sure you hit them bits or hit the thumbs up or whatever you do on Twitch. It's one of those things. I think that's a thing over there. What's up, Rocks? Appreciate you. Thank you so much for doing what you do. What's up, Dawn? What's up, Susie? What's up, Allie? What's up, Leron? What's going on, Flipper? How are you, Andrea? How's everybody? What's going on, No Money G? What's up, Susie? Mega Bestland. How's everybody doing? What's up, Mozart? Yeah, lots to discuss. Some things obviously pertaining to what we normally talk about. Some other things, along the lines of the U.S. men's hockey team winning gold. Of course, we'll be discussing a little bit. So typically a little off the rails of what we're typically covering on that aspect. But we do have a lot to cover. We'll be talking about Trump's tariff scam, possible investigations into Zorro Ranch, and maybe why it's too late, basically, and why it may be too difficult with the amount of territory that they'd need to cover around that place. We're also going to be talking about how Tucker Carlson is pretty much a performative broken clock at this point. Broken clocks being right twice a day, whether they're meaning to or not. Well, he stumbled upon, what I would consider a pretty good interview of Mike Huckabee as far as the questions he was asking, as far as the not letting Mike Huckabee come off with anything. This is absolutely no flowers to the scumbag that is Tucker Carlson. But again, even a broken clock is right twice a day. So there's a couple clips that I wanted to dive into from that kind of really illustrates not only our government's affiliation and association and devotion to the state of Israel above and beyond the United States, but also just how bloodthirsty they are and just how far they're willing to go and to cover up what everybody sees in front of their face. There's a few clips I pulled up from Twitter. There's not a ton that we have to dive into in that regard, but I do appreciate you. So thank you again to everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram. Do appreciate you. What's up, Wes? What's going on, brother? What's up, Black Dragon? What's up, Alyosha? Hey, Roxanne. Big shout out to Jin, too. Appreciate you. Jin and I were able to link up. He was in the area. We met up, had a quick bite to eat, so that was pretty cool. Shout out. I don't want to give out too much personal information. I don't want to step over my boundaries, but it was pretty cool to see Jin in the chat, and I'll let him kind of take it from there if he wants to divulge anymore. But thank you, Libby Morgan. I see you in there, becoming a new YouTube member. Thank you so much. Very much appreciate that. So yeah, we'll be talking about it all. Obviously, the State of the Union and how the Democrats, I believe the Democrats should act, what they should and shouldn't do, if they should or shouldn't show up. We're going to be talking about, obviously, the the 4-year war, the 4-year anniversary of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine coming up on the 24th. So in a couple days, which is hard to believe as well. Kind of crazy to think about that. But let me throw a couple of the stories on the screen that you and I will be discussing today. There was also a man killed outside of Mar-A-Lago, apparently with a shotgun and a can of gas, taken down by the Secret Service. So there was a quick ABC News update into that. So I kind of wanted to dive into that. I think that was early this morning, late last night, if I'm not mistaken. This was just posted a couple hours ago, talking about an unauthorized entry that was taken down by the Secret Service. So we'll be taking a look at that. And like I said, this TMZ video depicting what could be a huge investigation relaunched into Epstein's Zorro Ranch. But unfortunately, just before I saw this, I had also seen what was seemingly the new owner of the ranch, which, again, right hand up accountability. Well, not so much accountability, but right hand up. Just a couple days ago, I thought I had heard that it was owned by a well-known Trump Republican donor. So maybe this is the kid's son. I'm not sure. But he did an interview with the son in which he was talking about having walked around on the Zorro Ranch property, how vast it is, how easy it would be for Epstein and anybody else out there to, get away with murder. Let's just say it outright, to hide bodies in the vast, expanse that surrounds the Zorro Ranch. So we'll kind of dive into that as well. I want to know if this is kind of fugazi, if this is just talk. And again, they have a question mark on it. So again, I'm not sure where that's going to lead. But we also have Trump defying the Supreme Court outright at this point, hiking his global tariffs to 15%. We'll be discussing what we're looking at as far as like the scam, again, that he's pulled off and that Howard Lutnick and his sons are cashing in on, because of them kind of buying up the holdings at 20 to 30 cents on the dollar. And now that these companies have already charged the American the American people an exorbitant amount, or at least, an upcharge on the amount to cover the tariffs that the Trump administration had put on. So now that you and I have already paid those prices, now because it's illegal and now because they'll be asking for refunds, those companies are now going to be able to recoup all that money. And do you think it's going to go to you and I? Do you think they're going to start, dropping and slashing prices of these products to kind of, alleviate some of the stress that they put upon us by raising the prices in the first place? No, of course not. We already have an interview that I saw. I'll see if I can find it. I didn't quite have it pulled up for the show. Of a guy that owns a company quite clearly out there bragging about the 6-7 figure check that he's going to get, and how it's going to go right into his pocket to feed and pad his bottom line of his business, right? So you've paid extra money for these goods, right, that these companies have charged extra for, thinking that the tariffs, because of Trump's tariffs, right? And then what's going to happen is that you paid that amount. Now they're going to get the money back. And you think that these prices are going to drop now once they know that the American taxpayer, the American people, are willing to pay that certain price for whatever product it is? You think all of a sudden we're going to start seeing, like I said, prices start slashing and dropping? Of course not. So herein lies the scam. And then obviously the fact that the Commerce Secretary, right, Howard Lutnick and his sons are cashing in on this directly, as if they knew somehow that this was all illegal, that they knew somehow the Supreme Court was going to strike it down, and they were just ready and waiting to sit there and cash in, much like Peter Thiel, much like J.D. Vance was doing in the, what was the name of that Farmers app? I'm forgetting now, but there was a Farmers app that they had started, and they were going around buying up all the farms that they themselves destroyed for pennies on the dollar. What was it? Something Trader. Acre Trader is what it was. Acre Trader, ACIE Trader. So, they're all over this. So, you want to talk about corruption, you want to talk about insider trading and insider knowledge and making billions off the back end of it, then here's the perfect story from it. What else we got? And then, like I said, a couple clips of Mike Huckabee and Tucker Carlson, which is it's pretty astonishing. Like I said, I am absolutely no fan whatsoever. You guys don't know. I don't have to explain myself. Tucker Carlson's one of the biggest pieces of shit in the world. And he's doing what I call, again, performative broken clock theater right now, where he's not affiliated to anybody. And so what he's doing, he's trying to get clicks by being the contrarian to people that he had put in power, like he is responsible for putting in their place. So that's what he's doing here. So again, don't get confused on why we're showing the clips, or again, where I stand on who's in these clips. I want to make that quite fucking clear before we get into it, because no praise for anybody in them. Like I said, even a broken clock, right? And then what else we got here? We got Preston Stewart talking about how U.S. is preparing for the war in Iran, as we've been discussing, and how we're definitely looking at U.S. military personnel in harm's way. Like, we're not talking about a Caracas style going in with fat, low, slow, heavy helicopters with the best personnel in there, right? We're talking about, what I would call the best thing that I could relate it to would be the shock and awe campaign. Right. Remember, we all watched that on television, depending on how old you are, obviously, in the chat. I think we're going to see something like that, a prolonged shock and awe, air campaign, drone campaign, missiles, that type of thing, without putting boots on the ground. Because they just don't have, and it's been widely reported to a large extent, that they don't really have the ground troops in the area, but there's absolutely no denying the amount of air forces, air power that they have ready and locked and ready to go in surrounding surrounding that area. So we'll be discussing that, because just based on statistics alone, U.S. servicemen and women are going to die. Right. That is just, we're not talking about the same type of weaponry. We're not talking about the same type of people. We're talking about a much larger area, a much broader war. I mean, so again, he'll discuss it here. Preston Stewart kind of breaks it down well, and why we're kind of, should be ready to see definite casualties coming from this, and people put in harm's way, much more so than we saw in Venezuela. And then to kind of finish it off today, United 24 came out with this video this morning here, talking about and depicting how the soldiers survive on the front lines in the minus 15 degrees C temperatures. So again, with the 4-year anniversary coming up in just a couple days, I want to make it kind of a point to do our jobs here in recognizing not only the plight, but actually, the frontline movements and what's taking place in Ukraine, to keep it on the forefront of everybody's mind, to make sure that people aren't forgetting about it. Again, as we can all walk and chew gum at the same time here, it doesn't mean that we're taking anything away from the situation in the United States that we face domestically at all. Right. So that just means we should be able to, again, to not to beat a dead horse, but to walk and chew gum at the same time. Right. So I do appreciate you guys. But what I've been doing, let me start it off like this, because what I've been trying to do lately, and I do appreciate you guys for sticking with me on this, is I've been trying to pick something of a lighthearted story at the beginning, something that'll kind of, kick us off in the right direction, because of the severity and, how emotionally charged and draining the stories that we cover are. I mean, again, just thinking just specifically about the full-scale invasion of Ukraine for the last 4 years of watching Reddit, Telegram, Twitter videos, you name it, watching the Russian state media, catching up on the Ukrainian media and what they're saying, seeing firsthand these soldiers, their last moments on earth, drone shot after drone shot after drone shot. It does take a toll, right? I mean, much like, people will probably remember how, well photographed and well videotaped the war in Syria was, right? You know what I mean? So there's ample videos out there on the old interwebs that you could find of, the war taking place in Syria and just how kind of horrendous that was, obviously. So, I mean, it's the same thing. It takes its toll, you know what I mean? And then add in the Epstein files, add in ICE killing Americans in the streets, add in, all of these things, and covering it on a daily basis absolutely does take a toll. So, if I could kind of use that opportunity to say, if you do find some value in this show, if you do get some bang for your buck, please think about, reaching out to the Venmo, whether it's $1 or $2. I ask for no more than that. Anything above that's totally and 100% on you guys. You can sign up for a channel membership, gives you the whole month for less than $3. You can go to Patreon. There's 3 fabulous little, kind of platforms, little levels that you can choose on there. But anything that you guys can do, even if it's just hitting that like button, sharing the stream, letting people know about the show, it really goes a long way. So I'm trying to do it the right way here. It's not working, I'll tell you, as far as not taking ad revenue, not taking corporate sponsors and having people tell you what you can and cannot talk about. I don't charge for Substack. None of my content is behind a paywall. So, I'm trying to do things the right way. But, it seems to take a little bit longer and a little bit more work if you're going to do it the correct way and not, again, allow outside influence and outside money to, kind of build up your platform without you. And again, without entering like a chorus thing, which is, again, I don't know, just not something that kind of floats my boat in any regard. But all right, not to get off track. This is something that I wanted to dive into first because this is the feel-good story that I wanted to dive into. That's not it. That's definitely not a feel-good story. My apologies. But this is, which I'm sure has been going through, and again, another good feel-good story. In case you were wondering where I got the all right, you cheeky little lot. Let me see if I can play this for you guys. Ready? Here's the kid. Ready? Let me play it back. He's great.
We're going to Winter Wonderland. Come with us.
So that's Remboy. I like him. All right, you cheeky little lot. All right, but we're going to talk about Punch the Monkey. Okay, we're diving into Punch the Monkey just for a couple minutes, if I will. Please stick with me. I know you've seen it go through on your social media feed. If you didn't, you must have been in a cave for the last, I don't know, what has it been, a week, a little more than a week, maybe a little less than a week. I'm not sure. I'm usually late to the party, so forgive me if I'm getting the time frame wrong. But good God Almighty, did this little monkey from Japan captivate the world? I mean, I've rarely, it's happened. Obviously, it's the internet and things go viral like that, but to what point have you seen a little animal like this kind of captivate? And, we can think about koalas. We can think about, what are the other ones? The panda bears that everybody loves, right? I mean, penguins. I mean, different type of animals that have gone viral. Cats, obviously. But this little guy with his little stuffed animal and the story behind it, I mean, good grief. If Disney's not on this, if David Attenborough isn't already making a fucking documentary about this story, I don't know what will. And again, I want to be kept up to date. I want to be kept up to speed on this because if I have to fly to fucking Japan to take on a fucking whole clan of macaques, okay, I am not going to fucking shy away from it. I will beat a macaque's ass for Punch, bullying him, kicking him out of the crew. Don't you tempt me. Don't you test me, macaques, okay? Don't you fucking do it. Don't even think about it. But the latest I've heard is that he's been kind of integrating a little more, it's getting a little better. People are starting to take to him a little bit. It's not all, rainbows and sunshine and stuff like that, but it typically isn't in the animal kingdom. Let's just face it, right? But you know what I mean? Let's just kind of dive into, this is just a real short, less than 3-minute video, talking about and generalizing and giving everybody kind of the roundup of what was taking place. Again, if you're in the dark, if you don't really know what we're discussing here, then again, we'll just dive into this. And again, just kind of a feel-good story. At the end of it, a feel-good story. From what I've heard in reports, but again, keep me up to date because I have no problem kicking a macaque's ass, right? These fucking bully macaques over here thinking they're the fucking, they're the cat's ass here. Meanwhile, their tits on a bull. Don't be fucking bullying Punch, But all right, let's dive into this real quick. Like I said, less than 3 minutes, kind of a feel-good story here and one that kind of captivated the world, at least on social media. Let's dive into it. This is global news.
Well, a baby monkey in Japan is melting hearts around the world, and it's all thanks to a tiny
Look at him. Come on.
There you go. Meet Punch, a Japanese...
Come on. So he's the runt of the litter, right? Look at the little guy. His bitch of a mom decided not to keep him. That stupid little bitch, right? I mean, how could you be that dumb and leave this guy behind? Are you shitting me? But anyway, nonetheless, forget about her. She doesn't deserve the airtime anyway. The zookeepers were like, listen, why don't we just introduce this little, this furry orangutan, right? And he can kind of, get acquainted with it, rub up on it, make it look like, but this motherfucker, boy, has he taken to mama orangutan, mama furry here, because he takes this thing everywhere, and it is the cutest. He's curled up in it. He's laying on it, right? He, sometimes gets kind of, let's just say, brutalized in the pen here. First thing he does, he's running right back to this. Love it. I mean, the thing's great. The thing's great. So anybody shitting on Punch has got to come through me first. I just want to say.
Peacock born last summer at the Ishikawa City Zoo.
Look at him on the leg. He's on the fucking leg. Look at him. Come on. Fucking macaques. How could you bully that? How could you possibly bully that?
By his mother. Punch was raised by zookeepers and then provided with a plushie, which serves as a surrogate mother.
Right.
Photos of Punch clutching the orange orangutan stuffy have gone viral, obviously drawing millions of views, even donations to support his care. Now reunited with his true Punch.
Come on. Come on. What are we doing? What are we doing here? What are we doing, you damn macaques? Where's mom? I want mom on a podcast. I want mom's ass on a podcast. I want answers from mom. Okay. I don't know where she's at. I don't know what stranger she decided to run off to or what little fucking gangster clan she's a part of, but I want her on a podcast. I want answers. How are you leaving this anywhere? How are you leaving this anywhere? Come on.
Still carries the toy.
What are we doing here?
And is drawing big crowds as fans follow his growth.
Viewer discretion. This is one of them damn macaques that I'm gonna have to go represent for Punch, and I'm definitely gonna have to take down some macaque ass. Okay, pause. Okay, but this is hard to watch. He kind of gets swung in a circle. He ends up being okay. He runs back to George or the orangutan that he gets. He ends up being okay, but it's tough to watch. It is tough to watch. Wow, you bastard. Fuck you. I wish a macaque would.
ニホンザルの赤ちゃんは生まれてからすぐにお母さんの体にしがみついて自分の筋力を鍛えたりとか捕まることで安心感を得たりするんですけど
I don't think he's growing. I don't know how long this video footage was taken. I don't know if this is 1 day or 1 month or 1 year, but I think he's just going to remain that size. I think he's just always going to be smaller than the doll. I'm pretty sure.
今回その放置されてしまっていたのでパンチは掴むの
Come on. Good Lord. What are we doing in this world? How could you possibly? I don't know. What are we doing?
ものがなかったので、で何かを掴ませようと。
Look at him dragging it. Thing weighs more than fucking he does. He's gonna be jacked for a little guy. He's gonna be a jacked macaque. He's gonna be one jacked macaque. He keeps dragging that thing around up rocks. I mean, he don't let that thing out of his sight. If he does, he knows exactly where it is.
なったんですけど、その中で候補がいくつかあって、タオルをいろんな太さに巻いてみて。
All right, Ichikawa. All right, you win. You win. All right, don't fucking rub it in. What do you want us to do? What do you do? We can't compete with that.
で、掴みやすいものを探してみたりとか、いろんなぬいぐるみをちょっと掴ませてみたりしたんですけど、このぬいぐるみが結構毛が長くて、掴むところもいろいろあったので。見た目も猿っぽいということで今後群れに入るため
like it's the Donner Party here, looking like the Donner Party, heading over the Rockies, dragging like I will not leave no man left behind, says Punch the monkey. Okay, he will not leave a man behind, and that are the people that I represent. You know, much like the USA hockey team and the gold medal they won. You know, growing up as a hockey fan, growing up as a hockey player, you know, obviously loving the country that I live in, even though we criticize it, we are critical because we love it and we want it to be better and we know it can be better, right? I mean, it's very, you know, it's very fulfilling.
目に猿っぽい見た目がこのパンチのこの中で今後の群れ入りに役立つかなという印象があった。
But like I said, we won't take up too much of your time, put too many tears in your eyes here. But last I have seen, I think they report here.
どんどん増えてきているので、
Look at him.
まあこのままいけば
They're
順
eating
調に
shit out of his fur. That's got to be a good sign, right? As a monkey, that's never a bad sign. Isn't that like the thing? You just let me see what you got hidden in there so I can scoop it up. Like that's a thing, right?
少しずつ
Look at him. Yeah.
猿に溶け込んでい
Let me get on your
って、
back. Let me.
まあぬいぐる
I
み
mean, piggybacks, you're in. Piggybacks, you're in. I'm in. It's just okay. All right. So again, like I just said, just want to start off with something on the bright side, something on the lighter side there. And I do appreciate you sticking with me. But yeah, to go back to obviously the big congratulations to not only the men's but also the women's USA hockey teams for their gold in hockey. I mean, what an incredible game it was this morning. And again, like I said, you know, being somebody that has spent more time in a hockey rink than probably outside a hockey rink in his life, and again, caring about his country to a point where I started a podcast to talk about the politics to hopefully better this country. You know what I mean? It is a proud moment. And I know a lot of people don't have that affiliation, don't have that, don't have that sense of camaraderie as far as it pertains to sports and stuff like that. And that's fine. That's fine. No, you know, to each their own, and that's fine. That's why this country is also great, and I will continue to fight and love this country because you have that option of liking or disliking or wanting to talk about or not want to talk about things, and that's on you. So I do appreciate it, but I would like to say, being a hockey fan and watching that game, it was fucking absolutely unbelievable. Obviously, Connor Hellebuck If it wasn't for him, the score could have been 3-4, 5-1 easily in favor of Canada there. Obviously, Jack Hughes getting the winner in overtime. So yeah, I wanted to make sure to obviously give them the props. Obviously, they work very hard. Canada being an unbelievably talented team. In my opinion, I might get flagged for this, but still being the more talented, obviously, of the two teams, I would think just the talent on that team is just absolutely fucking ridiculous and generational. And not to take anything away from the USA team, but there are some. It's just a ridiculous lineup. It really is. So again, with Sid the Kid being out, Hellebuck standing on his head, Canada letting the U.S. stay in the game and the opportunity arising, and Jack Hughes capitalizing on that. Again, I just want to make sure that we give our dues to the people that working very hard and do represent this country in the right way. Not all of them, but to a large extent, we got people not representing this country in the right way all over the place. So when people do, I think we should probably recognize it. And not only that, before we get into a little bit more of the show, I'd also like to recognize yesterday being 24 years since a good childhood friend of mine lost her life, her being Danielle. Obviously not going to give out too much information, but I just wanted to take a moment to recognize the fact that I am an old bastard when you have to say that it's been 24 years since anything. But yeah, 24 years since losing somebody that used to be my babysitter, obviously used to babysit my brother and sister, and then obviously later became a good friend. So just want to make sure to take the time out for that as well. So before I lose it, let's see if we can. Oh yeah, because this is what I wanted to talk about as well. The guy getting shot outside of Mar-A-Lago. I think this was early this morning, but this is just a really quick, little over 2-minute kind of update from ABC News talking about how the Secret Service shot a man dead just outside of Mar-a-Lago, apparently with a shotgun and a can of gas, if I'm remembering that correctly. So what do you say we dive into just this little quick update, just so, again, in case you see it on your feed, in case you've seen it go by on social media, wherever, then you kind of know what's going on. All right, let's dive into it. Appreciate you.
Breaking news out of Florida. The Secret Service says a man in his early 20s is dead after he was shot by agents and a sheriff's deputy overnight at President Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach. According to authorities, the man breached a secure perimeter at the property's gate, carrying a shotgun and a gas can. Officials say law enforcement confronted the man.
I mean, I'm going to say that's going to do it every single time as far as, let's just say triggering a response from the Secret Service. I'm going to say typically a no-no. Okay, I'm just going to advise everybody against doing anything like that. Of course, in case that's not blatantly obvious to everybody right off the bat. But yeah, never a good thing. Never a good idea, ever.
And ordered him to drop the items and fired shots after they say the man raised the shotgun to a shooting position. The president is in Washington this weekend, and the Secret Service says no other protectees were there. Joining me now for more is senior White House correspondent Selena Wang, along with ABC News contributor and retired FBI agent.
Again, before they start, I'm not 100% sure. I just kind of, saw this being an update and wanted to dive into it with you guys. I'm not sure if they have too much information on the shooter. I know a lot of speculation is going to be going around out there, but I don't think there is very much confirmed as far as the identity of the shooter. Correct me if I'm wrong. Obviously this is up until I went live and was obviously looking for clips and stuff.
Brad Garrett, Selena, let's start with you. What more do we know at this hour?
Well, Andrew, as you just mentioned, the president is not at his Mar-a-Lago residence this weekend. He is at the White House in Washington this weekend. We just learned from a press conference where the Palm Beach County Sheriff spoke. He said that at 1:30 a.m. this morning, the security detail detected that an individual had made his way into the inner perimeter of Mar-a-Lago.
I mean, what are we saying? We're gonna say 1:30 on a Saturday night. That would probably suspecting some drugs and alcohol involved in this one. Right? I mean, is that a safe assumption at this point? Right? I don't know. It seems to me like a 1:30, you stumble upon Mar-a-Lago with a shotgun and a can of gas. Something ain't fucking clicking, right? Whether you ain't clicking because you ain't clicking or you ain't clicking because you had a couple nips and a couple shots or a couple shots. I don't know. Something wasn't right.
Deputy and 2 Secret Service agents on the detail went to the area to investigate. This is according to the county sheriff. He said that they confronted the man who was carrying a gas can and a shotgun. He was then ordered to drop them. He put down the gas.
They're building up, though. I mean, these are fucking stacking up. So when history looks back on this moment, you can be damn sure, people are going to be referencing the same way we reference the numerous attempts on Hitler's life and how goddamn lucky that son of a bitch was, just as in the same way, I mean, talking about how disliked a human being is, even by his side now, to an increasing extent, because of the cover up of the Epstein files, because of the partnership and, a coddling and buddy nature between, the United States and Israel, whether it be because of the, the botched or what they seem to be a botched investigation into the murder of Charlie Kirk, the affordability crisis in this country and the lies that they're being told on that. So there's a lot of fronts in which we've rightly discussed a lot on this show as to why people are kind of receding away from MAGA and looking for different outlets. But this is, it goes a long way in showing just how much damage he's doing to this country and world, and how, he's, again, pushing people into a corner, let's say, right? I mean, you treat people harshly, you treat people with aggression, you treat people with violence and intimidation, you take their rights away. Right, you make their lives, exponentially more fucking difficult and financially, insolvent to live a happy, normal, functioning life. Then again, the citizenry is going to react. That's just it's an unfortunate reality that we now find ourselves in. But again, this is just another instance in which somebody, whoever, showing their displeasure for allegedly showing their displeasure for this regime.
The sheriff said, but raise the shotgun to.
Sorry, he said he's not lagging. Why? Somebody says I'm lagging. My apologies. Just give me a thumbs up in the chat if everything's okay. Give me a thumbs down if it's not okay, and we'll see if we can fix it. We'll see if it's actually pertaining to a specific platform, or maybe it's the video itself. I'm not sure, but if it's doing anything but looking good, please let me know. Looks good to Rocks. Looks good to Tiff. Eric says okay. Got thumbs up. All right. I saw a lag in there somewhere. I just want to make sure I don't want to continue a show if it's not looking good. Blocara says okay. Navy vet. Appreciate you. Thank you, Dame. All right. So we'll continue again. Keep me updated. If you're having any problems, my apologies if you are.
A shooting position. At that point, the deputy and 2 Secret Service agents fired their weapons. They said the man died at the scene. Now, the incident, as well as the possible motive, they are currently under investigation by the FBI, the U.S. Secret Service, and the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office.
And Brad, even though this suspect was shot and killed, the FBI, Secret Service, and Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office are now investigating. What kind of things will they be looking at here?
And again, like I said, I don't think there's any more real information to come out. Again, if I'm wrong and anything else has come out on who this guy was, please let me know in the chat. But again, as far as I saw before I came live, this was pretty much the consensus of the news updates of just kind of what took place, when it took place. Nothing really further because of an ongoing investigation. So that did take place. And let's hop into our next story, which leads us from Donald Trump and Mar-A-Lago, straight from Mar-A-Lago to Epstein's Zorro Ranch. I did not get the opportunity to see any of this. Again, I like to watch it firsthand with you guys a lot of the times. Most of the time I watch maybe a minute, 2 minutes of a clip if I say, okay, it looks like something we could dive into, or if I obviously hear a lot of people talking about something. But this is from TMZ. I want to say it was posted February 20th, so 2 days ago. And this is talking about huge investigation relaunched into Epstein's ranch. And again, they also go on to talk about, what was the first couple subjects, because I have to dive into it. Oh, the Les Wexner talking about the lawyer saying that he would kill him if he spoke in, with anything more than 5 words. And then they go into some other aspect of Les Wexner's past there. But let's dive into this part if we can. My nose is so itchy, excuse me. My apologies. Talking about a possible investigation relaunched into the Epstein's Zorro Ranch. And then I have one video in my history from Sun, allegedly talking to somebody that claims to own the ranch now, whether it's his family that owns it or he owns it directly. It seems to be a very young kid, tattoos and stuff, so I'm not sure how he himself could possibly own a property like that. But it seems to suggest that, if any investigation were to happen, it would not only be very difficult, even if anything was untouched, but of course, so much has been talked about. It's been made so public that any evidence or, anything that they had hidden there that would give away or tip off anything has clearly been removed, right? They're not just going to leave this house with all the evidence and shit in there. Like they've been kind of one step ahead for generations, for decades at this point. So even though we're catching up now, doesn't mean that they've all of a sudden forgotten how to cover up their trail and dust over their footprints. You know what I mean? So again, I just wanted to dive into a little bit of this. I'm not sure how long, and to see if there's any real, true, or substantial information to say that we could not only see an investigation launched into the Zorro Ranch, but find something credible, find some evidence, find something substantial from the Zorro Ranch, knowing, again, how public everything has been made and how much time they've had to get rid of and how much space they have around the Zorro Ranch that the authorities would have to do search patterns and stuff and hope to find and spot some rock out of place or dirt that looks like it was overturned, like that sort of thing. And you can see, if you've if you've looked up the terrain around that New Mexico ranch, it's not the easiest, obviously, of terrain to get out there and cover broadly in formation, to cover grids and squares and stuff, to check it off, to find anything, even if you did. So again, let's dive into this if I can. Hit that like button, please. It really does go a long way in helping. Subscribing to the channels, even better. They're both free things to do, which means they don't cost you a fucking thing. Okay, they are free. And it is the least amount of energy that you will expend today is just clicking over, hitting that like, hitting that subscribe button. And then again, we all get to celebrate the joy and the passion and, the celebration of hitting 20,000 together and knowing that you contributed to that. So, all right. Oh, thank you, Andrea. Look at you go there. I saw that go by. Hold on. Where are you? Thank you so much, Andrea. Very much appreciated for the 20 in the chat there. Shout out to you. Much appreciated. Love all y'all. Stay strong. Stay loud. We're trying here, Andrea. And I appreciate you being in the chat. Thank you for the support. Great way, like Andrea just did, to contribute to the show through Super Chat, Super Thanks, whatever you guys want to do, Super Sticker. It's all super. It's all fucking super. All right, let's dive into something not super. All right, here we go.
On top of that, the state of New Mexico just announced it is reopening its criminal investigation into Jeffrey Epstein's former property known as Zorro Ranch. Now, for those of you who don't know, Epstein bought this massive ranch south of Santa Fe back in 1993. It had a hilltop mansion, a private airship, a hangar, and a helipad. And state prosecutors had actually started looking into allegations of illegal activity at the ranch years ago. But according to CBS, that investigation was shut down in 2019 at the request of federal prosecutors in New York. Well, now New Mexico...
Why? Like, what? For what reason? Does anybody know the answer to that? Like, why would the federal prosecutors want to shut down a state's investigation into what could possibly be the bombshell, could be the explosive property, even above and beyond Little St. James, even above and beyond the fucking Jets, right? Even above and beyond the New York properties and the Palm Beach properties. This could be the fucking place, right? And all of a sudden it was like, federal prosecutor, oh, please don't look into that. And again, like I said, I'm looking in the background here. I'll see if I can find that Sun video that was supposedly talking about. Now, might as well, let me see if I can find it right now. Give me a second here. Give me a second if I can. Yeah, it's this one right here. This one right
No
here,
problem.
right? So let me throw this on the screen. And again, knowing what he just said, let me play this one first because I think this is probably, good to know and have the knowledge of. Again, if this kid is the real owner now, and gets to go out and four-wheel around this fucking place and has been out there. Says he even ran into Jeffrey Epstein on the property when his dad took him there when he was a kid. I forget, like I said, I'm not sure how long ago he said that was because I only dove into a minute of this. But let's check this out because this is, again, Sun exclusive. This is from 2 hours ago. Only got about 2,000, 3,000 views on it. And it says, a man who lived on Jeffrey Epstein's Zorro Ranch as a teenager fears the financier could have gotten away with burying girls on the property, following a disturbing email and claim in recent documents dumps. Ian Royal, 28, lived in a house away from the main mansion at the New Mexico estate with his father. So lived in a house away from the main mansion. So on the property, though, obviously, which is strange, you'd have to ask. I'm sure his dad's got to be a well-connected guy. I don't know if they reveal who it is. And then it says here, who had worked as Epstein's ranch hand. Okay. So that's a little bit more. For more than a decade. Right? So let's dive into this. This is, again, the son speaking to this kid here. What's that say? So a man who lived on Jeffrey Epstein's Zorro Ranch as a teenager. Here, I'll even get out of the way so you guys can see the whole thing, so I'm not blocking it up. A man who lived on Jeffrey Epstein's Zorro Ranch as a teenager fears the financier could have gotten away with burying girls on the property. As it comes following the release of disturbing emails and recent document dumps.
Behind the house.
Size of that place, will you please? Look at this fucking place. And I'm not even just talking about the buildings, right? I'm not even talking about the actual settlement itself, but I'm talking about the expanse around it, right? I mean, just think of the ample places that these sick, degenerate, like monstrous motherfuckers would have with ATVs, helicopters at their disposal to go out in that expanse and to do God knows what, right? I mean, again, above and beyond the property that you're seeing here, which is, a ridiculous, obviously, sized property and strange to see in that area with the helipad, what it looks like. I'm not sure if that's just a garden or a helipad there. But again, to have a property like this in this area, I mean, we're not talking about a skis place, right? We're not talking about, a place in the winter where you're going up and a lot of people go and ski and can stay. Like, this is just out in the middle of fucking nowhere for a reason, bro. For a fucking reason. Okay?
Behind the house that my father and I were living in is kind of where the corral is for all of their livestock. They had like these stables, and next to the stables was like a bunch of dirt. Right. And in that dirt.
All right. So this is Ian Royal, former resident at Zorro Ranch. And he goes on here to talk about how he and I believe a couple friends were out skateboarding, on some concrete or something like that, and actually ran into Epstein one of the times on the ranch. But this is the kid now that says, if they wanted to, which, again, we have nothing to doubt any reason to doubt that they would want to. Because we've seen in emails them specifically talk about intimidating and killing. We've talked about the disappearance of people. I mean, it's not something that would be, again, out of the realm of possibility, knowing what we know coming from these files. But he says plain and clearly right here, I've ATV'd all over the place. He says people don't really comprehend how much land is out there and how much opportunity these fucking disgusting individuals had to do devious things, to hide their devious affairs, to hide people. Right? Check it out.
Had like a little corral to break in horses. And then they have like all their livestock, the geese, the goats, the sheep, and the horses that they had. So we were like just running around playing in the back, and we were on like the back side of that dirt area. And then he just kind of walked up, and my friend and I, there's like these concrete slabs that we'd find around the ranch because we like skateboarding. And so we'd skateboard on these concrete slabs. And we were actually walking on our way to one, and we just bumped into him randomly. It was like super short conversation. He just kind of asked who I was. I told him that I was, the son of my dad. And it was just like a super short. I had no idea who he was at the time. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I went and told my dad, and he's like, yeah, that's Epstein. I'm like, oh, okay. I can barely remember the conversation because it was so short.
I don't know what year it was. I don't think he ever says like how old he is, but he does go on to, I believe, he even talks about like how miserable Epstein was because he believes this was kind of right at the time where a lot of the stuff was catching up to him. So he seemed very paranoid. He seemed very cold. Like, it didn't seem like a happy guy. I think he goes on to describe, but he goes also on to talk about how shortly after that, he has a discussion with his father about Epstein because of the information that was coming out. So check this out. This is pretty crazy.
It's kind of like a, hey, how are you? Like, who are you? Right. Like, just trying to figure out who I was in relation to who was on the ranch. And then, it was just such a short conversation. I was just kind of like, who is this guy? And it just like left. It was literally just that interaction. We just walked away, and then kept going on about our business of just playing on the ranch. And, but like, all things considered, his disposition was pretty cold. I didn't feel like, it wasn't like a happy dude talking to me. And it's kind of funny. I actually ended up having a conversation with my dad about this interaction and kind of what was going on. And I think this is kind of when the first things were coming out about Epstein, like the first time he was actually.
I mean, look at that. I mean, look at the surrounding area. That is just an absolute joke. An absolute joke right there of just the amount of territory surrounding. And again, we're talking about people with private jets, helicopters. So it's not like you could not get to any of these places. Again, ATVs, all of that shit. They had them at their disposal. It was nothing, out of the ordinary for them to be flying around in their own helicopters, private helicopters, commercial helicopters, private jets. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be too surprised if there was somewhere in and around this area, a runway or either an old runway that has been taken up or something like that. I wouldn't be very surprised to know that there were private jets landing in these areas somewhere. Again, I'm not sure where the closest airport is to this, but I'm rather certain it's nowhere close considering, again, the expanse surrounding this area. So you'd think they'd like to stay kind of out of the limelight, out of the public view, and land as close to this place as they possibly could. So whether, again, that's helicopter, which seemingly seems to be the best opportunity you'd have to get in there, or a private jet, which would, again, entail a runway somewhere in here. But look at the fucking, obviously, if you can see my mouse, here's in the middle of the screen. Basically, in the very middle of your screen is the ranch, as you can see. And then just the mountainous area, the hills surrounding it. I mean, the hills have eyes, ladies and gentlemen. In this case, we wish they did.
Like pulled in for some sort of massage that had happened. And so I think like connecting those dots, I was like, oh, he was in that moment, he was actually showing signs of being paranoid because he was like, who's on this ranch right now? Like, because a lot of stuff was starting to build up on him, I think. If they messed.
Right. So it seems to be at the time period where, the walls were closing in on Jeffrey Epstein and these perpetrators. Obviously not speaking about recently, obviously, the first time that the walls were closing in on these freaks. But he runs into him and says, like, listen, he seems to be very paranoid about who's on the ranch. Only because he was the son of the dude that works the ranch did he kind of have the A-OK in the past. But didn't seem like a well guy to this kid, Ian. Seemed like a very disturbed individual that had, kind of reading into it a little bit, a lot on his mind, let's just say.
Up that first time, and it's especially with Zora Ranch, and you're probably going to bring up the whole they're trying to rate it again or do it now.
And now listen to this. This is the crazy part too. This is the crazy part that I want you guys to listen to, because even if we do get all thankful and hyped up about a possible investigation by the New Mexico authorities, whether that's local municipalities, whether that's state investigations, whatever that may be. But what are they going to find is the question. What information is still left there? Because as this kid goes on to talk about, not only would it be incredibly difficult just to search it, even if it was, had been left the same, nobody went there to scrub anything, take anything out of there. It would be incredibly difficult knowing the way that these people work. But again, knowing that they've had the time, knowing that everything has been made so public, knowing the connections that these fucking people have, their sly and shady nature, to think that there's still going to be this smoking gun, so to speak, lying around at Zorro Ranch that's going to be easily accessible and easily found is a fantasy, I believe. That's at least what this kid Ian is getting across here.
Messed up the first time, it's over. Like, they know what they're doing now. So anything that they missed that first time, it's not going to be there. So the fact that they messed up that first time, it just tainted the whole investigation. And obviously Ghislaine Maxwell's enjoying her vacation and whatever cell that she ended up being put in. We can go into that too. But especially with like Zorro Ranch, I mean, everything blows up. They get raided. What do you think is going to happen to Zorro Ranch? You think they're going to just be ready? Like, of course, obviously. And so the fact that they didn't do anything soon enough, that's the problem. If like I bought the place, it's being revamped. Like, everything is going to be touched. I'm not keeping what was there before.
Now, did he say if or I did buy the place? Did you catch that? Hold on, let me see if I can go back just a second, because I don't know if he says I did or if I bought the place, I would redo this, that, and the third.
First, obviously. And so the fact that they didn't do anything soon enough, that's the problem. If like I bought the place, it's being revamped. Like,
I think he says if. I think he says if I bought the place. Because if I'm not mistaken, I did see a report not that long ago, I think last week, that it was a known Republican donor that now owns the property, which again fits right in line with what we know about these freaks handing down properties, handing down jets to people that are also affiliated, also incriminated themselves in these fucking crimes, right? Let's just think, I don't know, Epstein's jet maybe, right? the apartments that they hand off to one another, the townhouses that they love handing off to one another, right? Wasn't fucking, I mean, Lutnick himself was living in one. Not what was another one? Dershowitz was living in one, wasn't it? There's a few of them that were living in you know, fucking properties that were just kind of handed out like pieces of candy by this fucking monster. You know what I mean?
Everything is going to be touched. I'm not keeping what was there before. Everything is going to be especially if you got.
But he's right, though.
Everything's gonna
But he's 100% right. And whether or not it's to cover things up, or whether or not it's just because you're living in the house that you're fucking living in and want no, vestige of evidence to suggest or that remains of the last owner, whatever, like things are going to be covered up. Things are going to be knocked down. Things are going to be removed. I mean, even if we're not talking about, that's what these fucking billionaires do when they buy these properties. They go in, they fucking demolish everything. They probably keep the skeleton and they make it all their own. Right. So again, what is going to be left there as far as, DNA evidence, right? Evidence that could be fucking, fingerprints, anything, whatever it may be, any sort of forensic evidence that we're looking for there or could be looking for there. What are the chances that it still remains after, again, the feds had stopped the original investigation into this fucking place?
Be repainted. It's going to be refurnished. Everything in there is going to be sold. I'm going to replace it with new stuff. And I believe they even changed like the whole theme of like the main area. They changed it from like a small town concept to like an hacienda or something like that, right? Like so now it's even further gone. Like it's just not even. It's crazy. Well, the sad part, the real sad part of it, is that if that did happen, they have all of the acreage they need to find a place for it, find a place for these bodies, right? It's a big ranch, dude. Like, and I don't know if people have actually like looked at this ranch to really see the size of it, but it is freaking huge. Like, it's a lot of acreage and a lot of like.
I mean, look at that shot right there. I know this is Google Earth, but I mean, if we're being realistic, it wouldn't take very much to get from the ranch that you're seeing in front of your screen till the farthest point that you could see on the fucking screen in a helicopter, right? And again, think if people are searching, the search begins. Let's just hypothetically go through the situation that the fucking investigation goes through. We're seeing big search patterns and grids, right? Like what, even if you get planes, even if you get, choppers involved, what are they? I mean, all of it looks the fucking same. What are you hoping to see from, 500, even if you're that low, or 1,000 or 1,500 feet? And if you're doing it by foot, how long is it going to take for the investigation and the searches to go from the ranch to, again, the possible expanses out in the open areas that you're now looking at here through and via Google Earth? And it's just a realistic question that we have to ask ourselves after this whole thing has been botched the way it's been botched, after this whole thing has been fucking poorly handled and mishandled every step of the way, and has been allowed to proliferate for the last, 20, 25, 30 years at this point, or longer. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. Who knows what could be out there? Who knows what they stumbled upon with this fucking place? Seems like they put a lot of thought into it. Seems like they put a lot of thought into the location, what they built, how they built it, who was allowed there, how you could fucking get transportation into the place. Right, seems to be a lot of thought. So one would think that something to put that much thought into it has some quite a bit of level of importance. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me. Let me see if there's any more from this. Oh, my apologies. I think it's this one.
A lot of it. So you have roads that kind of go through it, but if you go off the road, like I've been around on the 4-wheeler, man. I've taken my time just driving around on the ranch and seeing its vastness. The thing is freaking huge. Like, ridiculous. If he wanted to, he could. Like, just logically speaking, if he really wanted to, he had the space, he had the ability, he had the covert ability to do it. He could have done it conspicuously, like, no problem. Like,
and again, he's 100% right. He's 100% right. Don't know the kid from from a piss hole in the snow, but he's 100% right in what he's saying. He's got the opportunity, he's got the funds, right? Whether it's to hire people to do it themselves, whether it's to hire a helicopter to do it and do it themselves, whatever it may be. These people were well connected, well funded, and basically out in the middle of nowhere where nobody could see for a long fucking time. And again, with even more time now to cover up this shit. And it's pretty fucking disgusting. You know what I mean? All right, which brings us into the next little topic that I wanted to talk about, which is just, again, the end of democracy. Nothing really major as far as that is concerned. Just, the complete, what do you call it? The opposition of the president to the Supreme Court, I guess you could call it. just defying the Supreme Court altogether, which again, I believe would be called the end of democracy in the United States, considering how our laws are supposed to work in that. But again, maybe I'm being hyperbolic. Call me hyperbolic on the right. I'm sure it's not the end of democracy, really. It's not the president actively defying a Supreme Court ruling, I'm sure. But again, this is just a quick little update, less than 2 minutes. This is from, who is this from? Who did I get this from? I'm not sure. This is from CBS Evening News. Trump raises his global tariffs to 15% after the Supreme Court strike down. Okay, so again, I just want to give everybody a little update and show you, just how defiant. And again, I told you this when we went over his speech the day that this was announced. I told you that he was doing the Roy Cohn, like taking this as a victory, taking it as it gave him more power. Just lie totally about what the ruling stated and just go with the dissenting opinions. Just talk about what Brett Kavanaugh said. So that could justify what you do in the future. But again, here's a CBS Evening News talking about the tariff raise.
Today, President Trump raised his new global tariffs to 15%, one day after the Supreme Court struck down many of his punishing taxes. But what about refunds? CBS's Willie James Inman is at the White House. Willie James?
And here we go, guys. Here we go. In lies the scam. Herein lies the scam. Again, you, the American people, you guys went out there and you bought groceries, you bought clothes, you bought vehicles, you bought houses, you bought this, you bought that. You had to stock the houses with different shit, whatever it may be, for your restaurants, for the stores that you own. You fucking went out there and you purchased things at a rate that was exorbitant, a rate that was increased because of Donald Trump's tariffs, okay? These companies did not eat the cost as Donald Trump suggested, as Donald Trump's regime suggested was going to happen. No, what they did was they passed the cost down to the American consumer, okay? And you, the American consumer, because you needed that shit, paid the price of said product, okay? So now that you've paid more, God knows how many times, and will continue to do so, I may add, for that product, now, because it has been made unconstitutional or deemed, rightly so, unconstitutional and illegal, now all of these corporations and businesses get to go and apply for their refund to get the money back. Now, do you fucking think that these corporations are going to say, you know what we should do? We should lower prices and do the calculation to say how much we could lower prices on all these products to make up for the losses, right? To make up for the amount that the American people had to spend over and above what they needed to, what the actual price of the good was because of the tariffs. And that way we can kind of equalize where we made too much money and it'll go back into the system and people can buy things at a lower. But you think that's going to happen? No, of course not. You bought that product at that price. That product's going to stay that fucking price, if not get more expensive. Okay, once these corporations are seeing the profits that they're seeing now, you think they're going to drop the profits? You think they're going to say, hey, let's drop the price so we can make less money? I'm sorry. I don't think the shareholders are going to fucking stand for that. Hence capitalism. Okay? Off the backs of you and I. But now these companies are going to fucking put this check that they're going to get right into their pockets to pad their bottom line. And they're going to keep the prices the same. Right? Which means they get it on both ends. They get the double whammy and you get fucking hit. Okay? You get the kick in the balls. Meanwhile, they get the fat check. Meanwhile, and they've already got increased profits because of the, increased price of the goods that they increased the price of. So therein lies, and again, not to bring up the whole Howard Nutlick and his sons actually making money. Here, let's see if I can real quick. Let me see. Nutlick. Wait, I can't type in Nutlick because that's not his name. That's not his name. I keep calling him. I call him Nutlick so much that I'm typing that in. Like the computer's going to know who I'm talking about. Oh, geez. That's how you know. That's how you know. Let's see here. Let's see here. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Here's something that'll tell us about it. So this is Howard Lutnick and his sons are surely happy about this. It's almost like Howard Lutnick, the Secretary of Commerce, knew this would happen. Can you guys see this, what I'm saying? Yeah, it's a little small on your screen. Let me see. I'll make it a little big. It's just at the top we're reading. And again, there's a lot of articles and stuff that we could pull up to say the same thing. But, knew this would happen. His sons at their firm, Cantor Fitzgerald, have been offering a tariff refund product wherein the company pays where they pay companies who are struggling with paying tariffs 20 to 30% of a potential refund. So basically, let's say, buying it for like 20 to 30 cents on the dollar, you know what I mean? As they did today, they get struck down and then they pocket 100% of the refund. We're talking about, again, the Secretary of Commerce for the United States working side by side with the president, who's actively making these irrational fucking decisions all over the place. I mean, remember how we talked about, this is the same thing. Remember how we talked about, Donald Trump's, people buying the dips? Remember when he was announcing these tariffs to begin with and would see the stock market plunge every time he announced the tariff, another tariff, right? And then his fucking people would buy in, and then he'd announce that it was, the tariff would come off, or, the tariff wouldn't be that same amount or the same percentage he said it was. And next thing you know, it would go shooting right back up. And we were talking about how, if you did have enough money and you had the knowledge of this happening prior to it happening, you could make a shitload of money. Now, do we honestly put past Donald Trump and his fucking cronies doing that? Come on, people. We're talking about the most corrupt president in history. By far, bar none, no fucking question, not even a second place in this category. Most corrupt president we've ever seen. The person that has extracted the most wealth from this fucking planet while they were in office is by far Donald fucking Trump, okay? As president, you know what I mean? It's fucking crazy. So again, let's just dive back into this one, because they go on to talk about how, I don't know if they talk about Howard fucking Nutlick's sons in this one, but they give a little bit more information on, again, the tariff race. So let's dive into it right quick here, if it plays.
Evening to you. Thousands of companies have paid billions in tariffs, and some are now waiting for refunds after filing lawsuits to get their money back.
Small business owners like David Levi, the founder of Micro Kits in Virginia, are breathing a sigh of relief following the Supreme Court's decision.
We've been kind of in survival mode, kind of just things have been slow. And now with this ruling, now I feel some relief.
Levi sued to get a refund on tariffs long before the Supreme Court made its ruling on Friday.
Had to cut my workers' hours. I had to just accept that I was going to make fewer parts this year.
Thousands of businesses, big and small, have had to pay.
So again, added on to that, people losing their livelihood, people losing their jobs, right? Because of the reaction by the companies to the possible tariffs that were going to put in place, even though they knew they were unconstitutional, illegal, stupid, all of those things, they had to plan and prepare for that. So they had to lay people off. They had to let people go. And now it's all been ruled fucking, you couldn't do that in the first place. But again, those people have already been hurt. They've already lost that job. They've already lost out on all that financial opportunity, right? So this is a whole fucking domino effect of this thing. And the only people getting rich are Donald Trump and the 1% and the billionaires that are so fucking, so frequently seen at the White House, at Mar-A-Lago, at, the ball or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? They're all over the joint. You wonder why? This is why. Why are they, giving money to his campaign? This is why. Why are they giving money to the ballroom? This is why.
Tariffs, including corporate giants like Costco, Revlon, and Bumblebee Foods, who also sued to get refunds. But Trump says refunds won't come without a legal battle.
We'll end up being in court for the next 5 years.
And now California Governor Gavin Newsom and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker are demanding the Trump administration pay out refunds to businesses and Americans.
America's working families deserve a refund.
The government has collected more than $130 billion in tariff revenue tied to President Trump's tariff announcement in April of last year.
Yeah, is that his number or the White House number or the real number? Because I think all three of those things are different numbers.
Been at the center of President Trump's domestic and foreign policy. And now the White House is putting forward its backup plan.
I have the right to do tariffs, and I've always had the right to do tariffs.
Elaine, tonight, the White House dismissing and blasting Governor Pritzker's demand, saying he should instead focus on his own state government.
So again, we know what the ruling was, right? We saw it with our own eyes. We know what the numbers mean. The 6 is bigger than the 3. So that means that the 6 won in what they ruled on. But again, Donald Trump went out there and read the dissenting opinions, which would be on the losing side, to justify, again, the furtherance of his tariffs, to go even further, to say that it gave him more right, more power to do anything and everything that he wanted, even though, again, the power to tax lies with Congress. Power to tax lies with Congress. And again, tariff just being a sales tax. So again, why everybody now is kind of, we saw it coming. We knew this was going to happen. But to not call it out would be pretty egregious. The fact that he's just actively defying a Supreme Court order, not willing to, again, give refunds to companies that they legally are entitled to. And again, not even acknowledging the cost that was put on the American taxpayer, the American consumer, for absolutely no fucking reason whatsoever, right? No reason whatsoever. So just kind of wild times to see that democracy clearly dying right in front of our face. Even further, let's not get it twisted. I don't believe that like today was the day. You know what I mean? This has been a pretty rapid roll. A pretty rapid descent into the old Grand Canyon of fucking politics at this point, but it's becoming more blatant and more obvious, and you're less able to sit by and be silent at a time like this. That's for damn fucking sure. I know that, especially when you got assholes like this. And again, we're gonna dive on to the next topic, but no credit for anybody in these clips. I tried to make it clear in the opening, but I want to make it damn fucking clear that every single person, each individual you see in this clip is a disgusting human being, a decrepit, monstrous piece of shit. But what I call, again, Tucker Carlson's performative broken clock theater, he just kind of stumbles into giving Mike Huckabee a pretty good interview as far as questioning his loyalty and whether or not that lies with the United States of America, again, as the ambassador to Israel for the United States of America, or his first priority is Israel and the propaganda of Israel, the cover-up of the crimes that Israel is responsible for. But I don't think there's any question after this as to where Mike Huckabee actually lies. And then I think there's maybe 3 short clips from this that I wanted to dive into. And then we can kind of discuss afterwards. But I think this was, pretty revealing as far as Mike Huckabee is concerned. Just how, and again, we all know Mike Huckabee is the first person out there saying that he wants basically the end of the world so Jesus can return. He's one of those sick freaks out there, right? So this isn't anything new. But to what extent has any other journalist, or I'm not calling Tucker a journalist, obviously, but any other actual journalist out there questioned Mike Huckabee to this level or combated anything that Mike Huckabee has said? Not that I'm, saying that Mike Huckabee is affording many different, outlets the opportunity to interview him to this extent, but you would like to see if it does happen, and if it has happened, right, that people would be questioning his loyalty, would be questioning the same things. And again, no flowers, no credit, no sympathy, no empathy. Doesn't raise his stock whatsoever. He is still a Christian, white nationalist, racist, bigoted, homophobic motherfucker. And that's just Tucker Carlson. Okay, that doesn't even begin to describe Mike Huckabee. But again, let's just dive into a couple of these clips here. This first one here is Mike Huckabee saying that basically Israel has the right to take over the entire Middle East. Right, it is land given to them by lease of God himself. So Tucker Carlson rightly says, okay, does that entail the entire Middle East? And Mike Huckabee basically just says, yeah, it'd be okay if they took it all over. Right, so let's dive into this first clip. And again, viewer discretion advised. 2 assholes about to be on the screen. Again, I want to make it very clear where I lie. Just because we're playing these clips does not mean that we agree with, applaud, commend any of the individuals in this. Broken clocks right twice a day. And again, this performative broken clock theater by Tucker Carlson to be the contrarian of the same people that he is responsible for putting into power is only to get clicks and views. Okay, but I do think it is telling, and it is worthwhile to hear Mike Huckabee's answers so that we can all understand that these are not America First people, and they never were. Never fucking have been. Never have they been no new wars presidency. Never has it been a fucking an America First regime. Never, not once. And again, these questions here and this kind of interview goes a long way in proving it. So again, just a couple clips from this, and then we could dive on to what's our next one. Talking about the possible and definitely upcoming war with Iran. So stick with me. A couple clips of this, and then we'll dive on to again talking about what can we expect as far as casualties, as far as what the war is going to look like on the ground, in the air. We'll talk about our opinions. Preston gives his. Stick with me, hit that like button. I appreciate you guys. All right, Tucker Carlson and Mike Huckabee, two absolute numbskulls, two absolute twat bags. And again, two assholes on your screen. Viewer discretion is advised. 18 plus. Play.
You've appealed to Genesis. Genesis 15 says it's Abram, it's pre-Abraham, it's Abram, receives from God the news that his descendants will inherit the land. And you tell me as the theologian if I'm getting this wrong, but from...
And again, context, in case I rambled too long, context here is Mike Huckabee talking about Israel's right to basically conquer, take over, and own the entire Middle East here.
The Euphrates to the Nile. I think that's right. And that would include like basically the entire Middle East. That would be the Levant. So that would be Israel, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon. It would also be big parts of Saudi Arabia and Iraq. It would be, I mean...
I'm not sure it would go that far. I mean, it would be a big piece of land, but here's the point.
It would be a lot of places that are now countries.
But this particular area that we're talking about now, Israel, is a land that God gave through Abraham to a people that he chose. It was a people, a place, and a purpose. We can look at it that way. Christian Zionism, I want to go back because that's where we started.
I'm not going to let you off on this because you have said it 3 times that God gave this land to this people. And so it is entirely fair for me with respect to ask, what land are you talking about? Because I just read Genesis 15, as I have many times. And that land, I think it says, from the Nile to the Euphrates, which is once again basically the entire Middle East. So God,
which is again, really ironic considering how much we've heard the term "from the river to the sea" being tossed around from side to side as far as evidence of this or that. But again, here seems to me like we're talking about a much larger territory that Mike Huckabee is okay with the total eradication of the people now living in those areas that have been there for fucking millennia, right? It just, again, this is Mike Huckabee talking about that, and that's what we're focused on here. And not only that, but again, to not kind of let him off the hook on any of these things that he's now saying.
Gave that land to his people, the Jews, or he didn't. You're saying he did. What does that mean? Does Israel have the right to that land? Because you're appealing to Genesis.
Yeah.
You're saying that's the original deed.
It would be fine if they took it all.
It would be fine if they took it all. Okay. And again, let's just, like we did the other day with, who were we discussing the other day, guys, where we talked about, was it Kyle Higbee on Newsmax, where he was okay with taking out basically Tehran and turning Tehran into glass, right? Right, that was Kyle Shitsby, I do believe. Well, just like he in one statement tried to eradicate about 9.5 to 10 million individuals at that point and condemn them all to death from his fucking news desk on Newsmax, is much in the way that Mike Huckabee, for I don't even know how many millions of people. I mean, we're talking about the area and the countries that he just brought up and referenced as far as being able to be conquered by Israel and should be conquered because they got deed by God. Like, how many millions would have to be eradicated for that to take place, Mike? Right? What kind of war does that entail? Or do you just expect them, like Donald Trump says, to fucking self-deport themselves out of these places like he thinks people are doing in the United States? Because that seems to be much more people than just the city of Tehran, right? We're talking about a much broader area, much more death, much more destruction. And it goes on too, because there was pretty much the whole entire interview was Mike Huckabee doing this same thing and trying to excuse, basically at one point even calling the United States military in their actions in Iraq and in Afghanistan worse than anything Hamas has done. So again, listen to this nonsense.
In the entirety of the world, there are about 16 million.
Oops, sorry.
And 8 million of them live here. The rest live mostly in New York or South Florida and a few other places.
This is him. Let me see. This one is, there's no real description on this one. We'll see what this one is. I forget. There's a couple of them here.
So this is a small population of people. They have connection to this land, historically, biblically.
Do they?
Oh, I do believe this is where he calls out Benjamin Netanyahu. And again, the fact that, what we do know about his family and what we do know about a lot of the prime ministers of Israel, and the fact that they do not come, obviously, from the land that they now inhabit, as I think being referenced here by Tucker.
Yes, they do.
If Bibi's family, we know they lived in Eastern Europe. There's no evidence they ever lived here. He's not religious.
But
in what sense?
How do we know
that? Do you have his family tree? No.
And again, I'm agreeing with the broken clock right now. What you're watching is me visibly looking over at a broken clock that says the correct time and saying, okay, that's as far as this goes. And then on the flip side, actively calling out the responses here by Mark Huckabee. So again, to make this plainly clear, I don't want this to get fucking leaked into like an Anna Kasparian type moment where she's just hanging all over the sack of Tucker Carlson like he's a changed man. Nope, not here. We ain't fucking buying that bullshit. Okay, this is again a contrarian point of view put up by somebody who is unaffiliated, who's mad at the system because he lost his job with Fox News, who again is doing his performative broken clock theater to get clicks. But again, at the same time, he happens to be exposing a very real problem within this administration. So again, two things can be true at the same time, and I hope you guys are following with me and understanding that.
Do
you?
He doesn't. So no one does. That's the point.
But
So how do we know that he has any connection to this land at all?
And if there has been a practice of Judaism and a connection to the language,
But he basically just said, how do we know that Bibi Netanyahu has any connection to this land at all, right? Mike Huckabee's response, nothing about it.
The land.
His ancestors didn't. He doesn't practice Judaism in any rigorous way. His ancestors didn't live here. They didn't speak the language, and there's no evidence they ever lived here. So on what basis does he have a right to be
very much
here?
speaks the language. He has fought for the land. His family has fought for the
You're
land.
dodging a
I'm not
very
dodging.
obvious question, which is where does this right come from? And the
I've
reason it's
given
meaningful
you that
is
answer.
because there are a lot of people in the territory that Israel controls today, particularly in the West Bank, who, through genetic testing, we can know their families have been here for thousands of years. We don't know whether they practiced Judaism, whether they were Samaritans, pre-Islam. We don't know that. A lot of them we know have been Christians for 2,000 years. They have less of a right to the land than someone whose ancestors, the only thing we know about them is they lived in Latvia or Poland. They're Eastern European. How does that work?
They're Jewish.
By what definition?
They're Jewish by their
But how do we know they have any
ethnicity.
connection
They're
to
Jewish
the
by
Jews
their
of the,
faith. They're
of the
Jewish
Bible?
by.
But the lack of any real answer here from Mike Huckabee, who's supposed to be, again, who not is supposed to be, but who is the American ambassador to Israel, who's supposed to be so, deeply entrenched in all of this, can't even come up with a legitimate, because they're Jewish is the answer that he gives. And again, not being a scholar myself, I think I have the ability to even me to be here to recognize that that's not a very sufficient answer for the moment in what we've seen take place. And again, it goes a long way in showing, where he lies on this. And just because it's like a just because government, we have no answers for it, but just because.
The connection to the language, Jewish by the connection to the Torah.
And again, we don't have to go into too much of this. There's one here where he talks about, here's the one where he says that the IDF is more humane than the U.S. military. And then we don't have to really go into the other ones if we don't want to, but there are, I think, one or two more here. But yeah, here's where Mike Huckabee goes on. The record as being is Israel first, as this person says in their tweet. But he says Tucker Carlson exposes Mike Huckabee's shocking claim that Israel's IDF is more humane than the U.S. military.
Israel goes to lengths that no other country, including ours, goes to in the middle of an urban war. And yet Israel ended up with fewer civilian deaths.
Dropping 2,000-pound bombs in an urban environment is going to extreme length in order to, again, protect the civilian population in these areas. Right. And again, even with the, even stipulating that there are, let's say people under the hospital or people being, housed up in this house, even though there's innocent men, women, and children there, but we have to attack it. There's no better way for, again, the most advanced or supposedly, allegedly the most advanced in superior military on the planet, or at least special forces as such, as they talk about it on the planet, to go in there without, again, putting, the amount of civilians in harm's way as we've seen. And again, to think that we even know the numbers at this point is probably still a fantasy. knowing the rubble that still lies over there, knowing the cleanup that still needs to be done, knowing the plight of the people that still is ongoing, knowing the 600 people that have died just since this fucking bullshit and a non-ceasefire has been supposedly negotiated. But here again, walks himself into a fucking trap here, walks himself into a corner by, again, demeaning the United States military by also saying, by trying to applaud the IDF, right? You know what I mean? That's how, again, for the IDF he's willing to throw the American military under the bus to prove a point about the IDF. And again, this is the American ambassador to Israel, okay? He works for the fucking United States. Or at least is supposed to. The position is supposed to, okay?
Urban war than any urban war of record.
You said you didn't know how many civilian deaths there were, so how can you say that?
If you took Gaza's numbers.
Yeah, again, which they all say to not do, right? On one hand, they'll tell you can't believe the Gaza Health Ministry's numbers. Don't believe that. It's all fucking false. But again, taking their numbers and using their numbers as they've done for the majority of the fucking process after October 7th, right? Even themselves using that as a guide, as a guide stone and shit. But anyway, how can you on one hand say it's completely irrational to take their word for it while also using that as justification for the bullshit facts that you're now trying to state here?
His numbers.
You said you don't know what the numbers are.
We don't.
You just told me that. Then how can you say it's a lower number?
But if you took the numbers that they reported, which is like 50,000, 25,000 of those were actual warriors. How many civilians?
Which again has been widely reported to be extremely lowballed, right? On the very conservative side of what is, again, still to be found, still to be discovered when the cleanup continues, as the cleanup continues.
If you took all of their numbers,
not to mention, again, the numbers that are still being added on, like I just said.
Range from 120 to 78. Those ones I just read. I don't know if that's real. I don't know either. I'm asking you.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, those numbers I've not heard, have not read. The numbers that I think are more.
Okay, so again, we're talking about the ambassador from the United States to Israel, knowing what's engaged, knowing what the world's talking about, knowing what the world can see. And he's not doing a deep dive into the numbers. He's not doing a deep dive into what's taking place by the country he's ambassador to, right? Sounds to me like he's, purposefully, not reading certain things, or people are purposefully withholding information from him. Or again, he's being willfully ignorant or obtuse or knows about it. And of course knows where his fucking bread is buttered at this point.
Or reportable or somewhere in the 60,000 range.
Where do those come from?
From the Gaza Health Ministry,
but which is those were invalid numbers.
I think they are.
I think they're invalid numbers, but let me use them to corroborate this bullshit that I'm now spewing. Does that make sense to anybody? Anybody? Wouldn't you suspect that you'd use, the Israeli numbers? Wouldn't you use their numbers? Wouldn't you say, okay, we've done the work to go out there and record this, that, or the other thing, knowing that they haven't, obviously. But how can you say, nope, we don't believe these numbers? That's ridiculous. They're all lying to you. It's all Hamas controlled. It's bullshit. While also saying, we're going to take those numbers and we're going to say it's been fucking so awesome, right? It's like, well, you can't fucking have your cake and eat it too here, you prick.
Think that they're accurate, but I'm saying
You're saying they're inaccurate, but they prove that Israel's doing a great job.
Let's assume that the most
again, fuck Tucker Carlson, but he's right in calling him out for what he's calling him out here for. It makes absolutely no sense, right? So fuck them both. But at least in this broken clock moment, the broken clock on the left is calling out the broken clock. Well, it's not even a broken clock on the right. I mistake because I don't think he's ever been correct. So the analogy doesn't play. I reversed my statement. Taking it back. My apologies.
Widespread numbers, the largest numbers that have been reported out of Gaza by Hamas.
Yes.
Let's assume they're true. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying they are true, but assume they're true. Let's just take them at their word. Then you still have a lower number.
And again, who do you think he's going to throw under the bus to try to make this point, right? Who do you think he throws under the bus? He's going to talk about Russia, right? Is he going to talk about, I don't know, another brutal regime that we can think about? He's going to talk about Napoleon or the Nazis going into Russia themselves. Who do you think he throws under the bus?
Civilians killed in any urban warfare environment in modern history. Fact.
Is that a fact?
Yes.
What are you comparing it to?
To any urban warfare.
Name one.
Iraq.
First one that comes to mind, right? I'm not saying that, again, not saying that there aren't examples and multiple pieces of evidence that we need to call out, and not to say that there haven't been investigations and prosecutions from this, obviously not enough, but to think there wasn't like outrage, to think that, nobody called out what was going on in Iraq and in Afghanistan is kind of ridiculous in this moment. But again, the first thing that he thinks of is, okay, let me throw the United States under the bus. Let me make sure that I let everybody know that the United States military acts less, within the rules, within the guidelines, within the rules of war than the IDF does, right? The IDF is more humane than the U.S. military per our ambassador to Israel. That's what he just got across. That's what he just said to everybody on fucking Tucker Carlson.
Where in
Afghanistan?
Iraq? Where in Iraq? Where in Afghanistan? There aren't many urban areas in Afghanistan. I don't think there was any fighting in urban areas in Afghanistan.
Kabul?
I don't know.
There was definitely fighting in, again, urban areas is a pretty, subjective term in that, right? You know what I mean? Like what one person calls a built-up area, suburban area, might not be what another person would call a built-up suburban area. Obviously, within Iraq and Afghanistan, a lot of it was mountainous and kind of out in the broader spaces and again in the hills and stuff like that type of fighting. But that's not to say that there wasn't obviously fighting in built-up areas. But what would you call? You know what I mean? What do you consider to be, and what are you taking as your numbers? It's difficult to kind of, again, pinpoint what you're talking about, which is probably why he's speaking about it, because it's a very vague and generalized kind of term that he's using, which is hard to associate with any particular group and to get the categorical statistical numbers from that to draw the conclusions that he's trying to draw from this.
Were there pitched battles in Kabul over long periods of time? I don't.
20 years
in Kabul. I don't
throughout all of Afghanistan.
But what were those rates?
You're talking about what are the rates there?
Yes, you're comparing statistics, right? You're trying to do a statistical comparison to what's taking place now to past wars. That's your line of thought here. That's what this whole fucking thing was. So now he's talking about, okay, what are the numbers there? Because in order for you to bring that up, you must have some sort of statistical representation of the number coming out of that so that you can compare it to the statistical representation and the numbers that you gave me for what's taking place since October 7th. If not, then shut the fuck up and what are you talking about and why are you wasting our time? Because that last 2 minutes makes absolutely no sense if you don't know what you're talking about and you can't give me the numbers for, again, your first example, which was the U.S. military, to try to throw them under the bus as being less humane than the IDF.
The number of people who were killed into the tens of thousands. I'm asking you to.
I don't know the answer. I've never heard of any of this. You brought it up. You said the IDF has killed a lower proportion of civilians in urban warfare than in any urban conflict in modern history.
Right, which would need statistics, numbers, numerical things. You know, those things that, goes from like 0 to 9, and then you kind of mix and match all the different things and they make numbers and shit, right? You add commas if you need to, you know what I'm talking about. But those things, you need those in order to, again, make the argument that you're trying to make here. And if not, you just look like an idiot. You look like you don't know what you're talking about, and it looks like you're being controlled, which is what everybody suspected to begin with.
I'd never heard that before. I don't know what are the controls for that. And you said, well, the U.S. military killed more civilians.
Would you agree that the real tragedy was that Hamas continued to force this war?
Hold on. You just once again,
change of subject. Let's talk about anything other than that. I know I'm being backed into a corner, and that's Mike Huckabee doing so. And again, Tucker Carlson not letting him out of this. As a piece of shit, that piece of shit is not letting the other piece of shit out of this answer, which is, again, something that journalists and people that do the interviews now for these people should at least be taking note of, right? How to do a combative interview. How to make sure that the American people know when somebody's lying to you, even if you don't have to call them a liar outright, right? There is ways around that. That's why journalism, is taught in school. That's why you can study to be a journalist. That's why there's a way about doing things, right? So that you know who these people are, what the questions you're supposed to ask, what the information. You got to be knowing this information better than they do. So when they give you the bullshit line, when they lie to you, you could be right there to call it out, right? And again, both of these idiots and morons and pieces of shit are doing it for two totally separate reasons. Again, Tucker Carlson for maybe his anti-Semitic contrarian reasons, and Mike Huckabee for the total opposite because of his love affiliation and how controlled he is by Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel as a state.
said that the IDF is more humane than the United States military. You just said that. You said in Iraq and Afghanistan, the U.S. military killed more civilians than the IDF did in Gaza. You just told me that. I never heard that before. And my question is, how do you know that? What are those numbers?
And I'm trying to explain to you that
that he doesn't know. That it was just a line that was written down on a piece of paper by one of his handlers that sounded really fucking good until he was again questioned, until there was pushback. This is why pushback is so important. And I hate to, I hate that this is the example. I really do. I understand. But again, education doesn't really know any bounds. And if you can learn something from any situation, it's always a good environment to do so, right? There's no bad environment to learn in. Right. And if you can take points and you can take, little fucking pieces of information from even negative aspects of your life, then the better off you'll be. So even in this instance where, again, the smell coming off the screen is almost too much to fucking bear, where you're kind of watching this with the shirt over your nose. Right. And these people are just awful human beings on every level. Well, it's still something to be learned from this. There's still a way in which the pushback you're seeing here should be looked at by fucking different, reporters, journalists, and being like, oh, that's how I get them in the question. That's how I get them in the gotcha, right? Like, don't let them out of the question. The more you push, the more you make them fucking answer it, the dumber they're going to sound, the more revealing it's going to be to your fucking viewers, which is inevitably the point, the job of the media is to get the information, right? To get the lies, to get the propaganda, to call out the people in power, so that the American populace can be informed. That's the whole reason that you guys are given the rights that you're afforded as the fucking free press in this country. So start doing your fucking jobs, right? And again, I don't care who you have to study and who you have to take notes from. It's going to fucking help us. It's going to help us. So even if it's from, racist, white fucking nationalist morons like this that just happen to stumble upon a good interview every now and again, to be the contrarian, to get the clicks, even though he put these specific people in power himself, let's not forget the responsibility that Tucker Carlson has in this whole situation of putting these people in power, okay? Don't think that I forget. Don't think that you guys should forget. Again, this doesn't absolve him of any of his fucking wrongdoings, his criminality, his racism, his bigotry, anything like that. Nothing. He's a fucking horrible human being. Horrible, horrible human being. But in this instance, he's given Mike Huckabee at least a good run for his money and at least not letting him out of these fucking questions, right? And again, this is another one that we don't really have to dive into here. He says, Tucker, how much does it matter what Americans think? Well, this is another good one. This is him basically, Mike Huckabee telling you as the American people, we don't give a fuck what you think. 80% of you motherfuckers may oppose the war in Iran, right? 80% of you motherfuckers may think of a certain way, but that doesn't mean that we're going to act on that. That doesn't mean we're going to take that into account and change our policies dependent on that. And this is him, Tucker, calling him out, being like, well, how does it matter what Americans think if 80% of them oppose war with Iran, but we're still going to go ahead with war with Iran? How does that mean that the American people have any say or you care about what they say in any right? So again, here's the last one we'll play, and then we'll dive on.
Like, how much does it matter what Americans think?
Well, it matters every bit what Americans think. That's why Americans vote. It's why Americans have the opportunity to have free speech. We want them to have that.
Okay, so what percentage of Americans support a war with Iran?
Appreciate you, man.
I don't know. Do you know?
I do. I think it's around, I saw the numbers yesterday. I think it was like 21%.
Okay.
Is that enough to have a war with Iran?
So he says basically 21% support it, right? So basically we're saying 79% oppose, nearly 80% oppose. And now Mike Huckabee is going to try to get you to believe that he, takes into account what the American populace, what the American people want, even though it's, again, completely antithetical to the actions and the buildup that we're now seeing in and around Iran.
We don't live in a world where you have a poll taken to find out whether our policy should be a particular direction.
No, the people put you in fucking power. The poll is the election, you stupid son of a bitch. You stupid, fucking incompetent son of a bitch. And Donald Trump ran heavily on being the president of peace, the no new fucking wars president, the America first president, you cocksucker. Don't think we fucking forget, okay? That was the fucking poll. That was the American poll there. And that's why they put him in office. The idiots that fucking voted for him, because they thought he was going to come in and come in with all his promises and do those things. And he hasn't made life any more affordable. In fact, it's gotten exponentially worse since he's taken over. We've started and engaged in ample acts of war, as we're now about to undertake another one with with Iran. Okay, What are some of the other ones? The America First. Again, that's fucking complete horseshit, considering the ass kissing he's done to Vladimir Putin, the crimes that he's allowed Benjamin Netanyahu to get away with continuously. And the list continues. So I don't know what the fuck we're trying to get across here, but we're not forgetting why you idiots and the idiots that fucking watch shows like yours and shows like fucking Tucker Carlson's voted for this asshole because of the promises and the lies that they were told. That was the fucking poll, and that's not happening. So now when you hear that 80% of the country is thinking one way and wants one thing to happen, or doesn't want one thing to happen, I should say, now you're going to go on and say, okay, yeah, but that's not going to sway our policy. That doesn't mean that's a poll and we're just going to listen to it. Well, that's exactly what the fuck it is. That's why you guys were voted in there. Well, your boss was voted in there, at least, because of the lies that the people bought, and he ain't done shit of it.
I thought you just said that
that's direct democracy. No, we care deeply about it. But on the other hand, do we make the decisions of foreign policy and even domestic policy based on what
care
the
deeply
latest
about
poll
it in
number
what
is?
Yeah,
sense?
what the people want. I mean, do we make policy based off what the people of this country want and what's best for the people of this country? Tucker, absolutely not. Since when is the government made to function for the people and by the people? Since when are the elected representatives of this country elected by their constituents on the promises that they went out there to spread while they were campaigning? Since when is this a fucking democracy? Is basically the response there from Mike Huckabee.
If we're ignoring it, then in what sense do we, quote, care deeply about it?
Well, I think we care deeply when we see there's a threat.
No, but about America.
He knows what you're talking about. Again, we don't have to dive any deeper into that. He knows exactly what the fuck you're talking about, Tucker. You don't have to explain yourself or, go into it again. He's just trying to obfuscate. He's trying to, again, give him and buy himself a little bit of time to think of an off-ramp, right? To think of an exit strategy on that one. All right, let's dive into, we got what, 2 more to get? We got about 20, what do we got? Yeah, about 25 minutes left here. We should be all right. All right, and again, speaking of Iran, good little segue into this. Here's Preston Stewart talking about what we can expect, what we're seeing right now as far as the continued buildup. And again, who can be, I should say, what we can expect as far as U.S. service members being put in harm's way and seeing possible casualties, if not death itself here from this action. So again, here's Preston Stewart diving into, again, what we're looking at here in Iran. Well, with Iran, I should say.
If the United States attacks Iran in the coming days, this is what it'll look like. We should expect a week of continuous strikes, no U.S. boots on the ground, and a desperate Iranian regime launching ballistic missiles at Israel and American bases in the region.
So again, much like the shock and awe campaign, again, I don't know a better example really that I could talk about that is more recent than the shock and awe and to think of and to try to picture what we could be seeing as far as this is concerned. Again, a mainly, if not fully air-based campaign with drones, missiles, obviously fighter aircraft, all of that, taking out whatever targets they deem necessary, as opposed to, again, the low, slow, lumbering Chinook helicopters that went into Caracas, landed, had no issues, and then decided to waltz out of there with Nicolas Maduro. It's going to be, again, a lot different considering the bases that are in and around these areas are some 300, sometimes 400 miles from from whatever objective they're in. That's, again, a lot of space to fly over with, a country that has active air defenses. I mean, so it's not going to be, again, a country that seemingly had a deal or a plan in place that said, okay, we weren't going to utilize our air defenses, much like we suspect that Venezuela and in particular Caracas had. That doesn't seem to be what we're hearing coming from the Iranian leadership as far as, how they're willing to retaliate, how they're willing to defend themselves. Seems to be a lot more aggressive in nature.
This scenario, U.S. casualties are likely. So today we're going to get into how a U.S. operation could play out as well as possible Iranian responses. Now, we know that President Trump is close to giving the go-ahead, with CBS News reporting yesterday, quote, top national security officials have told President Trump the military is ready for potential strikes on Iran as soon as Saturday. But the timeline for any action is likely to extend beyond the weekend. We have also heard reporting recently that the United States is waiting for mid-March, another date that's been thrown out there as when the United States would have the necessary assets in theater.
And again, that's basically just waiting on the buildup, because even as we speak right now, there are more and more troops, more and more forces flooding into the area. right? So this isn't like we have troops there that amount is set and they're just kind of hanging, waiting. No, this is still we're still putting assets in the area. We're still putting assets in different bases. I believe he goes on to depict, several bases in and around the area that have been photographed via satellite that have had maybe triple or even quadruple the number of normal fighter jets stationed there. Again, depicting a very recent, very soon to come ongoing air campaign. So again, the signs are there. The president is saying all the wrong things, if you will, to again put that. Remember the 4chan thing that we showed on the show the other day? I forget when that was from now, but the date and the 4chan kind of had this down to almost the hour here. Depending on again when the go ahead is given. It was relatively pretty spot on. Considering the way that Donald Trump is talking about this and the imminent nature of the way that the Israeli press is speaking about this, as we brought up on one of the last shows, they seem to have almost more information about this than the United States does or are willing to divulge at this point.
CBS says Mr. Trump has not yet made a decision on whether or not to strike. They say the conversations have been described as fluid and ongoing.
Bullshit. I'm calling bullshit. The decision's been made. You don't put this many fucking assets into an area unless you're going to do something, okay? Like that line in Crimson Tide, like I said, and I'm sorry it's graphic in nature, but it does get across the point very well. You don't put on a condom unless you're gonna fuck, ladies and gentlemen, okay? And you don't put this many assets in a single fucking area that have all of these specific capabilities that you would need to engage in a sustained air campaign unless you're going to engage in a sustained fucking air campaign, okay? You don't put people in harm's way like this. You don't put men and service women in danger and have them fucking conduct, training operations and maneuvers. Again, what have we been saying? Even in Venezuela, having two militaries in close proximity, even when they're friendly in nature, is dangerous. Considering the chance for, some sort of accident to happen, whatever it may be, any one of the circumstances that you could possibly think of that would result in, a bad situation with militaries that are in close proximity, right? But again, having militaries this close in proximity that are going head to head, that are saying things as aggressive as each fucking, regime is saying at this point, is obviously inherently dangerous. And who's in the danger point? Who's in harm's way? Your sons, your daughters, your nephews, your nieces, your mothers, your fathers, whoever's watching out there, whoever's serving in our armed forces right now and is stationed and in flying a jet and is on the aircraft carriers and is on the fucking, the landing aircraft, the landing craft, whatever it may be. That's who's in harm's way. That's who's gonna pay the price.
The White House weighs the risks of escalation and the political and military consequences of restraint. Now, in trying to assess what the U.S. strike or what a U.S. operation might look like, we have to go based off of what the U.S. has in theater right now, which is a sizable naval and land-based air armada, minimal ground forces. Some of this was laid out in a piece earlier today by CSIS, the Center for Strategic and International Studies, where they say the naval armada in the Middle East and Eastern Mediterranean, with 2 carriers and 14 surface warships, is the largest in the region since 5 carrier battle groups assembled at the outset of Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2003.
Again, we reported that same thing on the last show. Again, you don't have a buildup like this, a buildup as big as any buildup since, again, we invaded Iraq. I mean, it just, you don't put this many people into a certain situation with the assets that we have unless you're willing to undertake and spend the amount that we're spending on this fucking, on this action, unless you're going to do something at the end of it.
The current force level is comparable to that used in Operation Desert Fox, which entailed 4 days of long-range strikes. With today's force, the United States could launch 50 to 100 Tomahawk and other long-range missiles against the Iranian Revolutionary Guards and other security forces.
So what's to say? Figure 2, Middle East Armada compared to past naval deployments. So aircraft carrier, large surface combatant, small surface combatant, amphibious ships, and special operations. Operation Desert Storm being the first on your screen there in 91. So a total of 71. Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2003 at a 55. Desert Fox in 98, which was 18. And then this one here being at a 16 on this graph here. So you can see a substantial force, more than Operation Absolute Resolve in 2026, the 12-day war, and in and around the Middle East in 2003. So again, a substantial buildup here, pretty comparable to Operation Desert Fox in 1998. Oops, excuse me.
Facilities supporting Iran's nuclear program. Such an operation would align with the president's stated rationales for using military force, supporting demonstrators, and preventing Iran from getting nuclear weapons. Couple keynotes there. Operation Desert Fox was 1998 when the United States carried out strikes against Saddam and his regime in Iraq for failing to allow weapons inspectors to access sites across the country. That actually might be a very good comparison here. For one, based off of the size of or the number of the assets we have in the region, you're looking at, say, 4 to 7 days worth of strikes. But also the goal of those strikes in Operation Desert Fox was
I don't know. I don't know
of
if I'm buying that. And again, I'll right hand up accountability here. I'm sure he probably, to a large aspect, has a lot more knowledge on the situation. Again, I'm not sure. I do believe he's prior military. I don't know if I've ever heard or learned that about his past, but I'm assuming of that at least. But at what degree you can tell that only 7 days worth of equipment, ammunition, people, supplies is out there right now. I don't know how, I find that to be a low ball, like with the assets that we talked about that were out there, the air wings, the aircraft carriers, the landing craft, the amphibious assault vehicles and shit like that. Obviously the amphibious assault vehicles not having anything to do with the air campaign, but you understand what I'm saying. I mean, the air groups that are stationed in all of our bases surrounding the area, it seems to me like would have the capabilities to engage in a much more sustained, at least weeks long, right? I'm not saying months or years long campaign with what we have now, but it just seems to me like we do seemingly have the ability and the forces in place. And again, the ability to carry on these ships enough ammunition for a more sustained campaign. And again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Let me know in the chat if anybody has a way where we could more accurately kind of figure that out. But again, I'll defer to, Preston and whoever he's speaking about in this above my questioning of it.
Of the Saddam Hussein regime. It was not setting the stage for a ground invasion. This was 1998. It was to force Iraq to make certain decisions. That seems very similar to the approach the Trump administration is following right now with Iran. Now, I would add in one aspect here that they did not mention in terms of targets. Ballistic missile launch and storage locations are likely to be included in that first or second wave of attacks. We saw Israel go after these pretty effectively during the 12-day war. It did kind of limit and relatively neuter Iran's ability to respond as they would have liked. Of course, we know Iran did still get a number of ballistic missiles launched and did inflict damage.
Sounds like an Israeli wish list to me, whether it's regime change, going after the ballistic missiles. Again, it seems like we're doing this not for our own benefit, for possibly the benefit of another nation. Just seems like that way at this point in time. And again, probably the nation that has maybe the most widespread reporting on some of the aspects of this, and we're probably right down to the minute, the month, time, and day, and when this was probably going to take place, and what the aspects of the goals of the campaign were. Strange to think about, but something you got to think about nonetheless.
Damage on Israel, but I would expect those ballistic missile launch sites and storage locations to be included in the first or second wave of U.S. strikes. CSIS continues by saying U.S. forces lack special operations and ground units needed to conduct raids or operations ashore. Snatching the Iranian leadership, therefore, is not a realistic option, particularly given the distance of likely launch points to Tehran.
Yeah, and this is kind of where he goes into describing like the difference between going into Caracas, going into Venezuela with the equipment that we went in there before, and kind of the operations that would have to take place in order to fly over the territory and the expanse of land and the air defenses that are going to have to take place in order to take out these goals, that whatever goals they have in mind here.
That end, I thought it would actually be worthwhile pulling up a map to give you an idea of how challenging it would be to get any of these ground forces into Iran.
To answer your question, Ellen, Bibi now, not Ellen, my apologies, Karen. Bibi now lives at the White House, apparently. Benjamin Netanyahu is now at the White House every, I want to say Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Obviously, I'm joking, I'm being facetious, but yeah, I think he's been there something like, 8-9 times or something like that. So he might as well. I think he's got his own bunk bed in there somewhere with Trump.
Components here. First off, I saw somebody recently say, how do we know that there are not, mass brigades and U.S. Army divisions getting ready to roll into Iran? Because we can't keep that secret, right? The soldiers can, but you just can't move thousands, tens of thousands of troops halfway around the world.
I mean, again, I guess to a certain extent, you'd have to be kind of correct on that. But are we saying that the United States military doesn't have the ability to move troops around without everybody knowing? I mean, I'm sure at some point everybody will know. But again, I don't know. It just seems a bit over the top to say that they don't have the ability to send in, whatever number of land troops they want to send into this area without it being reported on YouTube or something like that. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe that's the reality of it. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Another thing I just maybe have a little questions about.
World without a lot of people noticing, and to be honest, like friends and family members talking about it. So we can move special operations forces.
But wouldn't that be held back in communications, right? Like when certain aspects like this and certain, missions like this are being undertaken, don't they go to, like, even back in World War II, they were reading everybody's letters, right? The letters couldn't make it out if they, gave a specific location, if they gave us, specific details or something like that. So I have a hard time believing that in our military today, we don't have the ability to control. And I understand you can't control what people say off the base, but are they, are we to believe that they're that poorly trained? Were they going to give away classified information or detailed information about missions when they're at home to their family? I don't know. It's again, probably not the main focus of this, but just a question that arises.
Move pilots, we can move air crews, we can move small elements around the world relatively quietly, but a battalion, even 1,000 troops.
Yeah, just for the sake of time, because I know we only got 10 minutes left, I'm going to go into where he talks about the possibility for losses, and I think that's this part here.
Strikes. It is unlikely that the United States will attack Iranian leaders given concerns about retaliation and legitimacy. I'm a bit mixed on that one for a couple different reasons. We know that the U.S. is tied in pretty closely with Israel right now about the objectives related to Iran. And it does seem like everything coming out of Israel is focused on regime change and doing away with the Iranian regime. Israel, of course, had no qualms targeting senior IRGC officials during the 12-day war. They certainly know where a lot of them are. And the United States, I mean, it was like a month ago, we went into Venezuela and grabbed Maduro out of his bed in the middle of the night. I'm not sure that's drastically different than killing or capturing. Again, capturing, I think, is low on the radar, senior officials within the Iranian regime. So I'm not too certain that the U.S. is overly concerned about that. CISA says, finally, there are not enough forces for an extended multi-week air campaign. That would require a substantial logistical buildup, which is possible, but would take additional time.
I have further trouble calling what we see in here not a substantial buildup. You know what I mean? And then this is again where they talk about the dozens of planes parked at Jordan in different bases we have stationed around here. At least 60 attack aircraft parked at the base, which has become a key hub for the United States military, planning possible strikes in other air bases. They talk about how the number of jets there has pretty much gone up exponentially, whether it's double, triple, or even more sometimes. But let me see. There's a point in here where he talks about, and I don't know if we'll get to it. We never get to it all the time here, what we want to get to. And unfortunately, that's just the name of the game. But a lot of this is at the end is talking about kind of what they can expect as far as, again, just statistically speaking, what we know. We know that we're very effective against air defense. We know we have great defenses ourselves, but it's not 100%, right? Nothing is 100%. So when there's something, that is obviously not 100%, you're obviously at risk to that extent. So again, the more airplanes that go up, the more missions that are launched, the more territory they have to fly over, the more detailed the missions are, again, the more people and personnel involved, the more chances there are for injury, death, and all of the above at that point, which is, again, something that we can't obviously rule out of the picture when we're talking about, an active air campaign over a country like Iran, right? So again, something that we have to keep our eyes on. Unfortunately, like I said, we're kind of running out of time. I didn't leave enough, and I do apologize about that. But just to make everybody aware, obviously in 2 days' time will be the 4-year anniversary of the Russian full-scale invasion into Ukraine, which is just wild to say, wild to think about that it's been 4 years of this. And we are where we are at this moment in time. But United 24, who does fantastic work, had put this out, I believe, this morning, like I said, just kind of going over, talking about a little bit, giving the frontline soldier a little bit more time, right? A little bit more limelight here. And just talking about how they survive on the front lines, what kind of gear they wear, what kind of, garments they're carrying around. So just basic general information. But again, I do find it very informative and very important that we continue to talk about what they go through every single day, even when we're kind of sitting in our cushy apartments, our cushy condos and heat or air conditioner, wherever you might be. They're going through this at the same time. And for the last 4 years and longer, right? Let's not put this, let's not get this twisted here, because this is something that has been taking place a lot longer than the full-scale invasion has been taking place. But yeah, let's just dive into the last couple minutes of the show here. Give it to United 24, kind of detailing a little bit of how the soldiers on the front line will stay warm in minus 15 degrees. Minus 15 C, I should say, in real war winter combat gear. So let's check this out. I appreciate you.
I provided first aid to my infantry brothers.
Oh, excuse me. You know what I should do is probably start at the beginning. That would be helpful, is what I should do.
So you don't think everyone walks around like in movies, constantly holding their weapon up and scanning their sector? That only happens in movies.
5 degrees out at this moment in time. 5 degrees out, right? I mean, just think of how horrendous war is in and of itself, right? Just think of what you have to go through, the plight and the destruction and losing your comrades. And then you throw in the fact that you have to survive in 5 degrees and, in snow and slush and sleet and fucking holes, in destroyed buildings, not being able to feel your fingers, your limbs. I mean, the whole thing, it just, it goes a long way in showing exactly what they go through, even when they're not in combat, right? Even when it's just a survival, when they're in survival mode, right? Just kind of trying to hang on there, so that they can be ready for the next objective, so they can be ready for the next moment where they need to defend something.
You'll get tired quickly holding a weapon. Your arms will start getting tired, and when you actually need to fight, your arms will already be exhausted. What's it like out there? That's the dumbest fucking question civilians ask soldiers. What's it like out there?
I love it. I love it. No fucks given. Zero fucks. Very blunt. Would fit in very well here at the Blunt Politics community. Because again, you can suspect that, a lot of people have a lot of questions, a lot of curiosity about what takes place at the front. So you can't really fault people for asking, but again, you really should know to a point, kind of not only that they wouldn't maybe want to talk about it, but the answers that they're going to give you. I mean, it's nasty. It's horrendous. It's beyond comprehension. It's something that you just can't even explain, right? For the most part, unless you've felt it or experienced it yourself. So again, I feel his frustration on that part.
Look, guys, there's proper gear. This is for active movement.
Make sure you guys stick around for our next couple minutes, as anybody that gifted super chat, super sticker, hit a milestone. We always, at the end of the show, go through and highlight and appreciate and congratulate everybody that sent in a Venmo or anything like that. So again, if you sent one in and I didn't get to it during the show, stick around, and we always make sure to thank you at the end of the show, okay?
First and second layers. The first one is thinner. It wicks away sweat. The second layer,
this goes a long way in showing just how much it cost each soldier to survive out there. So what was that under? So this is how much was that first thing? Let me see.
Proper gear. This is for active movement. These are the first and second layers. The first one is
$70 there for the pair of looks like the top and the bottom there for like the thermal underwear. So there's 70.
It wicks away sweat. The second layer has this kind of membrane.
Well, there's $175 we've already spent on just the first 2 layers.
Passes through the first layer, and here it evaporates, so you feel very comfortable. The third layer is a fleece, like a jacket.
Okay,
also
add 116 onto 175. All right, we're up there already. And again, this is one soldier just trying to stay alive, right? Not even warm, just trying to stay alive out there.
Good thing, especially when it's cold. But just walking around in it alone, it doesn't really protect you from the wind. The fourth layer is this soft
another $100 for a jacket.
It's made from denser fabric and also has a bit of mini fleece inside. See, it's good for rain.
This isn't optics. This isn't weapon. This isn't ammunition. This isn't boots. I don't think he goes into. gloves, whatever else that you got, backpack, anything else. I mean, you can talk about, it really brings into focus just how expensive it is to conduct a war, and why we continuously talk about needing assistance, and continually talk about a country needing to help Ukraine and sending, whether it's old vehicles, whether it's continuously sending ammunition or drones or stuff like that. I mean, you can see the necessity of it, even with the large amounts and the fucking numbers that you've been told and lied to, even Donald Trump. Like, just think about the lies that he told about how much we've been sending to Ukraine. His bullshit lies of a quarter of a quadrillion dollars he thinks we sent over there. Well, again, it's fucking expensive. We obviously haven't sent anywhere near what he says, but the number that it is realistic at this point goes to show you where it goes. You know what I mean? This goes to show you that, times this by each individual soldier at this moment in time, and you can see how it really starts to stack up here.
Like light rain, you can still use it. The sixth layer is more
thank you, Masha. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the super stickers. Very, very nice of you. Thank you so much. We'll be done in just a minute here. I just want to, again, I'll let the gentleman finish, and maybe we'll kind of catch up on the next show for the rest of this.
for heavier rain or very strong wind. It protects you from that. And the seventh layer, the one I'm wearing, it works in -20.
So again, here's another $600. Another $600 for the pants and the jacket. And that has, what was the original price of the underlayer? Probably something around $300, something like that. So we're talking about nearly $1,000 just for clothing. Not to mention that the clothing probably doesn't last that long when you're out crawling on your belly, when you're out in mud and fucking, in trenches and getting caught on fucking fences and twigs and bushes and branches, right? So you got to think of how even one person, it's not like you spend that $1,000 and that's going to last you the whole time and you're all set. No. You have to continuously think about how much it's going to cost to continue to outfit these people out there. And this is above and beyond the military necessities, military aspect of their equipment. This is just, again, trying to stay warm, trying to stay mobile so you can be active, so you can be on call. It's crazy it really is. It's fucking absurd, what they endure out there trying to defend their homeland. And again, just how, I forget who said it over the weekend, but I did see a clip in which, somebody made a great point where basically right now there's only one NATO country acting like a NATO country, and that is Ukraine, because NATO was specifically put in place to do one fucking thing and one fucking thing alone, which was to protect greater Europe from the Russian threat, from Russian aggression, from Russian invasion. Quite literally the fucking main purpose why NATO was built, was formed, why they continued, and what they're supposed to be doing. So again, the most fucking NATO country out there right now is Ukraine. They are the most fucking NATO. So if anybody should be deciding who's getting into NATO and who's not getting into NATO, in my fucking opinion, it should be Ukraine, because they're the only motherfuckers out there right now still undertaking by them goddamn selves, beyond the volunteers from other countries that are out there, and God bless them for doing so, doing what NATO's job is supposed to fucking do, which is defend Europe against Russia. So, again, I thought it was a very good point. I do believe it was even made by a Russian himself, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, a Russian calling out the Russian government for their, war crimes, for their atrocities, but a Russian nonetheless. But all right, let's get into thanking some people. I really do appreciate you guys. Once again, we've run out of time today. I try squeezing in as much as possible on these shows, but I do very much appreciate it. Let's hop over to Venmo, see if anybody was nice enough to reach out on the old Venmos today. Roger was kind enough, so thank you, Roger, very, very much for your kind and generous $3 on there from Karen and Roger. Thank you so much to you two. Thank you so much to Belinda as well for the $5 on Venmo. Boston Brian, that's me. Thank you so much. Very much appreciate you. Thank you for watching. And then just over the last couple of days, Mark, very belated happy birthday again. Thank you to Christopher. Thank you to Mr. Ducharme. Excuse me if I'm saying that wrong. Thank you to Roxanne, Damon, Leslie, Allison, Garrett, Nancy. You guys are all fantastic. Jenny Faye, Laurie, Thomas, Damon, Jeffrey. Thank you guys over the last few days who have contributed via Venmo, which you can do by just taking a picture of that, right? Open it up on your camera, send $1. Goes a long way. Very much appreciated. All right, let's get into thanking some people over here on YouTube. Big thank you to everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, all you guys, wherever you're watching. I do appreciate it. It's very, very important that we continue to do the right thing and sharing it out. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel on the platforms that you are watching on if you find yourself coming back. But first up today, Libby, What's going on, Libs? Appreciate you. Thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member. Very much appreciate you being here in the chat, contributing, being active, staying aware, staying informed. Hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you, Joe Lee, as well, for being here for 11 months. Let's go. One more to a year. One more to a year. What an awesome fucking show of loyalty that is. Thank you. Hi, friends. Right back to you, Jolie. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend. Thank you, Wes, for 22 months. Let's go, brother. It's hard to make a living online. It sure is. It sure is. But I find it to be as important as anything else in this world right now, considering how much it actually controls the American politics right now and how much we could change and should change. But yeah, Wes, I do appreciate you. Thank you so much for making everybody aware. I hope anybody that does, again, like I continue to say, I hate to beat a dead horse and I hate the self-promotional bullshit, but if you do find some value in the show, and you do find yourself in the financial position to be able to kick a buck or two into the show, please think about doing so. Not only that, but we have some other great aspects that we're involved in, like the Help 99, the 69 Sniffing Brigade campaign that we are involved in which I do want to just touch base on real quick before we dive out of here to, again, show you guys how awesome and influential you are, because we are now over 13,000 euro raised. So we have now officially raised over $15,000 here at Blunt Politics towards a vehicle to go to the 72nd Separate Mechanized Brigade. So shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for making it happen. Now up to almost 120 different donations, 63% of the way there. So we are continuously on the upswing here. We're continuously ticking up on that chart. And I can't thank you guys enough for, if you've engaged in it yourself, whether by sharing or telling other people about it, or if you've contributed financially yourselves, like a few people have on there, I know that I see on the list. So thank you guys very, very, very much for doing your part in this. So I just want to make sure I continuously highlight that and you. So thank you, Wes. Thank you, Andrea. Very kind of you to throw in 20 today. Love you all. Stay strong, stay loud. Right back at you, Andrea. Thank you for everything that you do. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. JD, what's going on, my friend? Thank you so much for the 5 gifted, as always. Make sure we're reaching out to JD and everybody that's gifted on this show. To say thank you, to make sure that we keep this show running. Thank you, Bobby Slacks, as always. Shout out to you and the $10 contribution. Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava. Love to you, brother. Love to all my fellow Bryantologists. Let's fucking go. Right back at you, my man. Stay awesome. Hope you're having a great weekend. Thank you to Blue State Champion. Boycott corpse and keep your money in your state to fight fascism. Absolutely. Absolutely. We didn't actually, I ran out of time. We didn't get a chance to talk about the whole State of the Union, but I do have a show coming up Tuesday, which the State of the Union will be that night. So that gives me another opportunity to kind of give my 2 cents, if you will, on what I believe the Democrats should or should not do for the State of the Union. And not only that, but gives us a little bit more time to kind of hear the whispers and the rumors on what they are planning to do, so we can combat that or applaud that, whichever way they decide to go. So my apologies that I didn't get to that aspect of the show today. But yes, I do obviously have some very strong opinions on that, which I will be sharing on Tuesday, obviously the day of the State of the Union. So thank you, Blue State Champion, for your 5. Shout out to you, my friend. And thank you for your contributions. Boycott corpse and keep your money in your state to fight fascism. And always a good plan. Not only that, but to get involved in state and local politics as well. Blue State Champion. You might agree, you might not agree. I hope you do agree. But again, from every level, from all angles, we need to be making sure we're taking back the system, whether that's at the local level, like I said, with your school board, with your local town council, whatever it may be. Fucking getting control of the libraries. I don't know what anything. Your HOA groups. Get all of them. Let's start taking back these things. Get involved. Let's start pushing back on the areas in which they've controlled for quite some time now. Going into midterms, let's take back the government, but let's also take back the rest of our lives, the rest of our aspects, the rest of the aspects of our lives that we're living more localized. So thank you, Blue State Champion, for the 5. Very much appreciate you, brother. Hoping you're having a great weekend. Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you for keeping us sane. No, you guys keep me sane. You really do. I don't know where I'd be without you guys. Probably climbing up some random skyscraper somewhere. Who knows? But thank you, Kathleen. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend. That goes for Yakov as well, with fam lurking penalty. Lurking penalty. Unfortunately, I don't speak gibberish. I gave that up a long time ago. With fam lurking penalty. Oh, I get you. You're with your family, but you're lurking. Okay, well that much I get. I don't know. Did somebody give you a penalty? Was that 2 minutes for high sticking? Would you get tripping on the way to the food? 2 minutes tripping, elbowing in the buffet line. Yakov. No, I'm just kidding. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. I hope you're having and enjoying your time with your family. That's always good to see. Thank you, Jordan, very much, my brother. Thank you for highlighting Tariff rights refund scam. Trump's tariffs have always been about extorting favors and bribes from business people and countries. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's pretty plain and clear, again, when you look at the whole Howard Nutlick aspect and his sons and how they've been able to kind of, really do some damage behind the scenes and making sure that they profit off of this pretty handsomely, no doubt. Goes a long way in showing the corrupt nature of this government, like we didn't already know it, but absolutely anytime we can call it out, we need to call it out. So appreciate you, Jordan. Thank you so much again. A Kiwi in Aussie is Jordan. So make sure we're reaching out to Jordan and saying thank you for watching from so far away. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you, Jonathan. Poor man's membership. Appreciate you, Brian. No such thing, dude. They're here. We absolutely have no shaming. There is no financial shaming whatsoever here at Blunt Politics. There is no such thing as a donation too small. Doesn't exist. So anytime you can get involved anyway, whether it's a membership, a 2-cent donation, whatever it may be, $1 Venmo, that's more than enough. That is absolutely going the extra length. So, can consider yourself. Make sure you guys give yourself credit. Don't downplay the importance of what you guys do at all. So, Jonathan, very appreciative, brother. Thank you for the $2 there, and don't for a second think that it is not appreciated. So it very much is. And thank you, Marsha, several times here with a couple 150s, 150. Thank you so very much, and then a gifted membership to top it all off, like the nice ice cream sundae it was. But thank you very much, Marsha. Please tell the pretty kitty I said hello. Little catnip never hurt anybody. Little cat? No, I'm just kidding. I appreciate you, Marsha. Thank you so much for all your contributions, everything that you always do. Thank you, JD, again, for the profanity bonus. Not a 13 going in the jar. I appreciate you. Ruben, thank you so much. Belated happy birthday, brother Mod Mark P. There we go. I appreciate that, Ruben. Better late than never, my friend. No such thing as a bad belated happy birthday. Well, again, depends how belated it is, I should say. Maybe I'll take that back. But Ruben, you're in the time frame. You're in the correct time frame. You made it. I appreciate you. And anybody that hasn't yet, let's make sure we're reaching out to both Tiff, Mark, anybody else that has birthdays in February. There's a bunch of them. So thank you very much, Rube. Thank you so much, Karen. Great show in chat as usual, Brian. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here for 8 months. Thank you for all that you do. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for contributing. Hope you're having a wonderful day, wonderful weekend. We got to deal with the blizzard coming up here. Thank you, Jen, for being a mod, for everything that you do, for all your help, for all your assistance, everything for the $2 contribution. You as well hope are having a great weekend. And then Ruben and DC to round it out today. Thank you guys so much. DC for the 5, Ruben for the 2. Very much appreciate you guys. I really do. Wouldn't be here without you guys. Wouldn't do it without you guys. And again, it's going to be you guys that are going to be able to affect the change that we want to see happen. So continue to stay involved. Keep hitting that like button. Keep subscribing to not only channels like this, but anybody else that you find may have some insights, some knowledge that you like what they're hearing, you like what they're talking about. If that channel is this channel, please, thank you so much for being here and giving me your time and allowing me the opportunity to share my opinions and go through all of these tough topics together with you. It means a lot. So I'll see you guys Tuesday again, the day of the State of the Union, and we'll be talking about what we want to see happen that night. That's for damn sure. All right, so don't forget, hit that like button on the way out. I got to go deal with, I don't know, some fucking blizzard prep, I guess. I don't know what's going on. Some people are downplaying it. Some people are upplaying it, but as of now, it seems like we got about 20, another 2 feet maybe coming in snow, some 50, 60 mile an hour winds. So I'm just hoping we stay power on. That would suck. Other than that, I do love a good blizzard. I love a good storm. As long as the heat and the power stays on, I'm all set. But yeah, we're about to get smacked in the face this evening into tomorrow. So wish me luck. Wish me luck. Hopefully Tuesday we get enough juice in the tank. We get enough power lines still standing up to do a show. That would be fantastic. But if anybody else is out here on the East Coast, especially right on the water, make sure you're taking the news reports into account, because there's supposed to be some pretty substantial coastal flooding as typical around these areas. So make sure you guys aren't getting trapped. Make sure you guys are having your escape plans if you're in the area. So appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you Tuesday. Who is that? Hold on. Was that a couple more that I just saw? I don't want to miss anybody. Never want to miss anybody. JD, thank you, brother. Another one. Boss Mods bonus. Thank you for the 7. Thank you, Intune Orange, for the 2. And thank you, Miss Nikki, 8978 for the 2. We love you. From Yakov's wife. Oh, Mrs. Yakov, how are you? Very nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you. Thank you so much. That is very, very nice of you. Very, very nice of you. It's a family affair now, and I'm one. So I expect an invite to the next cookout, okay? I know it's a long way, but I'll make it. I'll make it. But thank you so much. You guys have been amazing. Always are. Always will be. Make sure you contribute into other shows if you can. If not, like, share, subscribe. All of those things are free. Really does go a long way in helping these channels, especially mine. Fuck everybody else, right? Fuck them. Come on. I try to be too nice out here. I really am. I'm too nice. I got to get a little bit more fucking ruthless in the streets here. Seems to be a ruthless game, this, and I'm fucking ready to get down and dirty. Let's play in the mud, all right? Let's play in the mud. Let's fucking share the show. Let's get some people pissed off. Let's get some people talking about it. You never know. You know what I mean? We might catch somebody's eye. All right. I'll see you Tuesday. What's up, Mark? What's up, Tiff? What's everybody? Thank you so much for the mods, as always. All right. I'm out of here. I'll see you later. Don't pay attention to any of the information on the outro. None of it's correct. I keep saying this, but at some point it will be correct. Just jam to the music. Close your eyes. Just think of the music. That's it. That's all you got to do. All right. All right. I'm out of here. Is it this one or this one? Well, there's a fucking compliment if I've ever heard one. Legendary. That's a fucking good one. I might hang that one on the wall.
Fight uphill, me boys. Never fight uphill. They were fighting uphill. He said, wow, that was a big mistake. He lost his great general, and they were fighting. Never fight uphill, me boys. But it was too late.
Here's a thought. Grow a sack, fill it with some balls.
Proud to officially name the undisputed. When did this come out? We're a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat the undisputed champion of beautiful, clean coal. We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come. It's a new form of vicious violation to our country. Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. God bless the United States.
He says rectum damn near killed him. Taking him back to Nevada where he's wanted for banging horses. What in the hell was that all about?
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
My superpower's being honest. I will eat my neighbors.
When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy. They had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular. And pitchers, I guess you could say, in really particular. Yesterday's a hard word for me.
I am the chosen one.
He builds the wall the way he built Trump Towers. We'll be using illegal immigrant labor to do it.
I mean, they've been conserved since the time of lobsters, right? There weren't trees around when lobsters first manifested themselves on the planet.
Gettysburg, what an unbelievable battle that was. The Battle of Gettysburg, what an unbelievable, I mean, it was so much and so interesting and so vicious and horrible and so beautiful in so many different ways. It represented such a big portion of the success of this country. Gettysburg, wow. I go to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania to look and to watch.
The rest of my life, I have the curse that I have little hands. Little hands.
Get off my plane.
Man, I ain't falling for no banana in my tailpipe.
You'll have a group of Venezuelan killers, street gangs, occupying the town with MK-47s. I know that gun very well. I got to know it. Eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Yes, of course, hence the name. Movement, it moves a certain distance, then it stops, you see. Revolution gets its name by always coming back around in your face. You tried to kill me, you son of a bitch. So welcome to the revolution.
I'm standing up here bashing the living shit out of Nazis.
Brian, yeah, you're drunk. You're drunk.
The big, fat, sloppy United States.